They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. I'm way too fly, yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down, no. Got a soul view to myself, yeah. Why would I give it up? Why do they wanna come take my place? I work too hard for it, don't need a replacement. This my vocation, now I got rollies, all in rotation. Hop on a jet just to take a vacation. Remember the moments was trapped in the basement. Now the hard work is all taking me places. Squatting all black like we trapped in the matrix. Bet on myself and go ball out in Vegas. Living a life like I'm rich and I'm famous. Don't see the grind that I know that it came with. I ain't make it this far for myself, yeah. I had to prove to everybody else, I had to I had to renovate, I know. They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate.
Salute to everybody in the building, man. Salute to you guys, man. Clap it up. Clap it up for boxing and this community that's growing every single day, man. Salute to you guys, man. Salute. We back at it again, man. It's the third one. It's the third plug-in of the week. You know how we carry it. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, odd days. We run that. Shout out to my co-host, Ray Davis, in the building. You know what I mean? Back at it, back in front of that desk and that computer and that camera, ready to build on some boxing today. Hope everybody's doing well, obviously. You know what I mean? Good health to everybody. You know, be grateful. You here today. You could be anywhere, but you're here, man. And I'm grateful for your presence. I'm grateful for your support, man. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact, man. Every single last one of you, man. So we back in the building with more boxing. Been talking boxing all week, right? Things are going on. News is out, and we here to put some perspective on it. At the end of the day, we've got Leonard Ellerbe, you know, ushering his way out of the space, saying, you know, after Gervonta Tank Davis, this is going to be his last show. Getting out of boxing, says he will be retiring. Don't expect to see Leonard Ellerbe. So whatever he's got going on right now, enjoy it while it lasts. Of course, we're going into a weekend, big pay-per-view, a rematch for a possible fight of the year candidate. The first one, this second one, hopefully holds at least a candle to it, right? As Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury try to run it back, and you know, Tyson Fury tries to correct the wrong and get his redemption. He's coming in with red in his eyes, and his crosshairs is Alexander Usyk's chin and possibly his body. Pause. We'll talk about that a little more as well. We'll get into that. And boxing ushering a new era of boxing being ushered in. Or is it a new era? A oldie but goodie? Is legacy being ushered back into boxing? Is the boxing space started and has begun to embrace legacy? How do you guys feel about it? You guys will let us know. How much more fun is this side of the conversation and the other side of the conversation? We'll talk about that as well. And then I'm not going to lie to you, Ray. We're going to have to take a moment. Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, we got to talk. We just got to have a conversation, man. Two brothers who I support in this boxing space. I fully support you guys. I think you guys are just generational talent, but I do think there's a conversation that needs to be had. We need to get to some understanding about how are we going to work this out, guys. I mean, boxing first, right? Let that sizzle in your spirit. We'll talk about that later as well. And, of course, we'll talk about Vasiliy Lomachenko to retire or not to retire. That is the question. And if he's not going to retire, what's the next move for Vasiliy Lomachenko? You know, news came out on the Twitter space yesterday by, you know, a fake account that was out there, but it did kind of set off some good conversations. Vasiliy Lomachenko supposedly had retired yesterday. Come to find out it was fake news, but at the same exact time, his team has been hinting in the direction of him having a high probability of retiring. And why? We'll talk about that. But if he doesn't retire, what does he do? What would hold him from not retiring? If he's almost at the edge of retiring, what's the one thing that would keep Vasiliy Lomachenko in the conversation, keep him in boxing? We'll see what it is, right? What Secret Dan says, Bob Arum confirmed Teals agreed to everything for Boots to fight, but he said Boots' team have gone silent. Well, we know what's going on with that. We could talk about that as well. Boots is trying to unify at 147. Guys, Boots Ennis has a rehydration clause on his IB. I want you guys to listen closely and take this into consideration and understand this, right? No matter what you guys hear in the boxing media about potential fights that can be made, I want you to take one thing into consideration with Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis is a fighter fighting at 147 pounds who's ready physically to transition into 154 pounds. Taking that into consideration, I want you guys to understand that IBF title he holds a rehydration clause. You guys know what it is, right? 10 pounds the morning of the fight. It restricts Boots Ennis's ability to rehydrate to a natural state, to his strongest state. So the only way Boots Ennis circumvents or gets around that rehydration clause is in the moment of a unification title fight. That's the only way he gets out of it. So Boots Ennis fighting mandatories or defending his IBF belt, it has to be worth it at the end of the day. And at this point, if Boots is not unifying, if he's not doing something for his legacy, he might as well go up to 154, because to fight somebody like Teofimo Lopez with a rehydration clause, there's just no reason for him to do it. Maybe monetarily or monetized, you know what I'm saying, as far as the money he can make, might be some motivation. But you guys just saw this man turn away Virgil Ortiz for $5-6 million guarantee. So you know how much money are they really going to offer him to fight against Teofimo? Obviously, money is not moving this guy. So when you hear about him and Teofimo fighting, keep in mind and take into consideration that the only reason Boots Ennis is at 147 pounds is because he wants to unify. He wants to unify for his legacy, and also unifications trump that rehydration clause, so he's not stuck rehydrating the morning to some limited rehydration the morning of the fight, which puts him at a disadvantage, makes him uncomfortable. I'm sure he can operate through it. He's a professional through and through, but why do something you don't need to do? So take that into consideration. It is what it is. I agree with you, RC. Teo needs it. And let me tell you something else, guys. Teofimo is very aware of this. Don't get it twisted for one moment to think that his team is not aware of this rehydration clause and about fighting Boots Ennis for that IBF title. They're aware of it. Not to say that they're going to be taking advantage of Boots, but look, this is boxing. It's strategy, the art of war. Everything counts. You got to take everything into consideration. But if Teofimo really does want to challenge himself and is truly interested in moving up to 147, then I agree with you, RC, 100%. Brian Norman is available. He's a WBO champion. It's easy to make. Make that happen, right? You guys happen to be under the same top rank promotional company. The fight is right there to be made. Fight Brian Norman, but there won't be any rehydration clause in that fight, right? All right. Anyway, that being said, Ray, how you doing this morning, brother? Speak to me, man. Speak to the people.
Good, man. Salute to everybody. You know what I mean? Thank you for coming, Mr. Rain. Salute to you, Flyer Frequency, Big Sarge, RC.
Yeah, we got to do the roll call.
Moves. Salute to everyone in the building. If I have missed you, BBO Boxing, salute. You know what I mean? Thank you. Welcome. Even Bub Boxing, you know what I mean? My arch enemy. He's my nemesis right now. He waiting for me to talk about Shakur and Keyshawn and what my take is. I'm gonna surprise him. Or maybe not. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll give him what he's looking for and just say they both gonna fight Tank at the same day. Not just fun.
No doubt, man. Yeah, man. But yeah, man, I mean, we're going to get into it. You know what I'm saying? We got 17 people in the building. Shout out to everybody who is here. Please remember to hit the likes. Obviously, that's a big deal. Let's get the algorithm pumping. Don't forget to not be fearful, to go ahead and put a little color in the chat. Support the channel and the platform growing. We're moving slowly but for surely, heading in the right direction. I appreciate all you guys, man. Let's see. What's the first thing we're going to get into? That's the first thing we're going to get into. You know what I mean? Well, do I want to? Well, let's start off with Leonard, because I saw that Yeah, let's start off with Leonard.
Liability.
Yeah, Leonard liability. Leonard Ellerbe puts 2 weeks notice in. Not literally, guys. He didn't put his literal 2 weeks notices. I'm sure in 2 weeks, Leonard Ellerbe will still be in boxing, right? But he did have an interview recently, a good interview by what's the name of that? Goodness gracious. What's the name of that platform? I want to give them their respect, man. I do want to give them their respect. Let me find them right quick.
I don't know, but I tell you what, I was surprised that they got that interview.
Well, no, they actually interviewed him about 5 months ago as well. So Leonard must have a relationship with the producer because the production is high level. It's just that they don't have a real following yet. They don't really have a big following yet. But for the most part, the laboratory podcast. You know what I mean? They got Leonard Ellerbe in the studio. Speaking to Leonard Ellerbe, and if you talk to Leonard Ellerbe, if you have an opportunity to talk to Leonard Ellerbe, there's no way you talk to him and don't include questions about who? Some of y'all favorite fighter, Gervonta Tank Davis, right? He spoke about Gervonta's the relationship with Gervonta Tank Davis, and he also spoke as far as his relationship with boxing and what that would look like on the back end of Gervonta Tank Davis retiring, right? Because Gervonta Tank Davis said he would retire after 2025, shook up the whole entire boxing space, right? It is what it is. And everybody wants to know what everybody connected with Gervonta Tank Davis has got planned after Tank. Because if Tank is out of boxing, what do you guys do, right? Salute. RC in the building, showing some support to the channel, man. We appreciate you, RC. Always a grassroots supporter, man. Christmas got a brother strap, but a little color, man. We appreciate it, man. $2. $5, $100. It's all color in the chat, man. So don't even think twice about it.
$1.
Have my appreciation. Hell, you don't have my you have my appreciation, man. 100%, brother. That's a fact, man. Thank you, King. Thank you.
I just want to acknowledge one more thing too, Clay, real quick. There was a question from Hunter Young about his son having a school project or something. If you want to address that, maybe we can
say one more time.
His son, Hunter Young, said something about his son having a school project.
Oh, let me pull it up. Let me see here. I see it right here. Yeah. Claymore Rain at Ray Davis. My son is doing a boxing project. He wants a list of promo companies. He has the main four. Should he add the others like Pro Box, Queensberry, etc.? Hell yeah. 100%. Especially Pro Box is up and coming. It really was one of the main. I think Pro Box in its we can argue that they kind of like saved American boxing a little bit in 2024. I mean, obviously we had Turkey with Rehad Season doing what he's doing for international boxing and involving American boxing in that campaign. But I think Pro Box literally, when you think about where the PBC fell short, Pro Box was right there to keep us with boxing every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. Some decent fighters like Lamont Roach, the guy who's going to be in this fight against Tank Davis, would have to salute and thank Pro Box. What would he be without Pro Box, right?
And especially Queensberry, who's been around for a very long time. I mean, back to the 80s. And I mean, Frank Warren's father was the owner of Queensberry. And they've literally been doing boxing for as long as
he can remember. You know what I mean? Yeah. As long as we all can remember it. Yeah.
So to give that company some grace is a really good thing, and it will be helpful. There's more than just that meets the eyes, but if you want to use the bigger names, that's cool. But definitely use those.
Boxer too. Boxer is doing things right now with Ben Shalom and those guys. Right. You know what I mean? And Queensberry coming over to the zone. That's a big deal. You're gonna be seeing a lot more Queensberry fighters, and obviously we can celebrate them and say they've had a great year. Daniel Dubois, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Tyson Fury fell short, but he's still a big attraction. The 5v5, what they did over there, they've been putting a lot of great boxing on. So I couldn't imagine you not putting on Nick Ball. Yeah, I couldn't imagine you not putting Queensberry on that list.
Yeah,
definitely. Oh, we got some more color in the chat. Oh, shout out to everybody, man. Here we go, bro. That's what I'm talking about. We got Johnny Merckx in the building. Johnny Merckx.
Yep.
Found you watching Blue. Love the passion, my dude. Oh man, thank you, King. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, I am quite passionate about it, man. And hopefully you enjoy this show. We're gonna be passionate about this show. We're gonna be talking about legacy. welcome to the channel, because it's not a channel that's concerned about people's money and purses and what you sell. We want stylistically, we want to see the best fights. We want to see legacy being accomplished in front of us. We want to witness history. And by us boxing fans, by the way, witnessing history, guess what else happens? We become part of it, right? We become part of it, to be able to tell your kids, and to let them know that you were there. When you think about your grandfather talking about, I remember watching Muhammad Ali and George Foreman and the Rumble in the Jungle happening live, man. This is what was happening that day. This is what our neighborhood was doing. These are the people that were in the house that night. I remember this commercial. I remember the dude in the crowd that did something crazy, and you know what I'm saying, the camera panned off. I remember all these different things. We're being part of history, right?
Exactly. High tube socks that didn't match your shorts and your striped t-shirts.
Talk to
him. The bike had the handlebars without the bar across. Banana seat. Oh yeah, we're gonna call it all day like we wasn't there.
No doubt, man.
I age myself.
I see you having a flashback. I see you, man. For sure. For sure.
Pastel damn colors and weird ass browns, bro.
Yeah.
Muddy ass browns we used to wear.
Honey Young with the $2 says, thanks for the suggestion, man.
Cut off corduroys because you couldn't buy shorts. You had to make your old shorts out of old pants.
Don't shed a tear. Do not shed a tear on this channel, brother. I want you to keep it together. You hear me? Keep it together. You like back in the day. Back in the day
when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah. Hunter Young says, thanks for the suggestion, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support on the channel. Again, COE Films in the building with a $2 holla. I appreciate all you guys. Chasing Legacy brings money. It does in 2024, going into 2025. It does look like the money's starting to align with legacy. It's no longer, and fans are just smarter today than they were before, right? Or just a little bit more. They've always been smart, but they're a little bit more awake. When you've been kind of getting hustled a little bit and you didn't realize it, then you start to think about it and like, hold on, man, I'm getting got here. And as the pay-per-view prices are going up and the fights you want aren't lining up with that, you start to have a little light bulb go over your head and you start to ask, hold on, what is going on right here? Am I being played with? I'm trying to support boxing, but is boxing supporting me? Is it? We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about it, but let's get back at it. COE Films, I appreciate you, brother, for the support again, man.
I actually like that question. Can we build on it? Yeah,
we about to. Trust me. When I tell you I got it set up, when I tell you we're going to dive in, we're going to dive right in. Believe you me. This is chess, not checkers, baby. This is chess, not checkers, baby. Right? Yeah. So, Leonard Ellerbe puts 2 weeks notice in, says that he's going to be moving on after Tank Davis is done with his career. He'll be done with his career in boxing. He's going to move on to WNBA basketball. He got a female, I guess, a prospect that he has his eye on. He's working with her, and he's going to be managing her career. But more importantly, if you're a boxing fan, you have to ask yourself, guys, a chain of events, right? So many different things going on with the PBC in 2024. When you talk about a company that just coming from the highest point in boxing, revered as the premier boxing championship network, that they just pretty much had all the best fighters, all the biggest fights just a year ago. And this year, just watching them just digress down to 5 events in the year. And most recently, watching the way they're promoting Tank Davis with this Lamont Roach fight and the production there. You see the production with the Tim Tszyu and Bakram fight. You see even the David Morrell and David Benavidez fight press conference, as lively as that press conference was. And, it was a great press conference. The production, you wouldn't look over the fact that the production was also lackluster there as well. And then now you hear Gervonta Tank Davis talking about retiring, how boxing is full of ish. And then we put the cherry on the top that Leonard Ellerbe, one of the main so-called representatives of PBC and always celebrating PBC and saying that, Al Heyman's at the top of the heap, is talking about walking away from boxing at this point, saying that when Gervonta Tank Davis is done, he's done. I mean, what are you thinking about that, Ray Davis? What does that look like to you? Why would Leonard Ellerbe walk away from a sport that, supposedly made him so much money, he was there right next to Floyd Mayweather as Floyd Mayweather became, making hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Leonard Ellerbe was there, got next to Gervonta Tank Davis, helping him make the most money, the voice of Gervonta Tank Davis, letting the boxing space know that, listen, he is the A side, and, he's not fighting this fighter because he doesn't sell. This fighter needs to build up their market value. Seemed to be a guy who was rolling in money in boxing, but today, seems like he's ready to walk away from the sport. What do you think?
It seems to be that Leonard Ellerbe was considered an advisor or a manager of other fighters of the PBC, including Gervonta Davis, including being a partner or working with Floyd Mayweather and TGB on both managing and solidifying fights, being a fight promoter in his own right for the PBC under Al Heyman. Right. With these things being accomplished in his career, I think some of the setbacks are they're starting to see what we've been seeing for the last year. I think they figured, and I think you had an interview with Coach Calvin, and I think they're starting to see the bigger picture here. I think there was a big message back with the Tim Tszyu fight. Tank was supposed to have his fight back in March. You asked him a question about the PBC. And what does he think Tank's next fight is? And he was like, we're going to sit back and we're going to watch how this first fight kicks off. And we're going to see where we go from there. It seems that it started off a certain way. This is the quote from Coach Calvin, right?
Right.
It seems that there's been an approach on everybody being
actually, just to kind of like add to what, just to be clear, what Calvin said. Calvin said that he wanted to see the production that Amazon was going to be offering. They want to see how the rollout was going to be to gauge, how they felt about it before they jumped into it, which, once again, just like what you're saying, profound, was very interesting when he said that, because I didn't understand, it threw me off. But, watching it, this was earlier, obviously, in the year when we were trying to figure out why Tank wasn't the first event of the year, right? Why was it Tim Tszyu? And, what I'm saying? Why didn't Frank Martin happen? And that was his response,
Right. So seeing the rollout and how things have been taking place and the promises and the pushback from them starting a whole season after when they announced their first fight, not having one free fight on their card, to 12 to 14 fights not existing, complying.
Salute the freaking flyer, showing some love, man. $2 holler in the Cash App, man. I appreciate you, King. Thank you, man. Thank you, Aki, for sure, man. And you guys know that Cash App
too, flyer frequency.
You guys know that Cash App is available. I'll put it up, as a matter of fact, real quick. I probably should just put it up in the chat as well. That's probably where it needs to go, right? But there's the Cash App. You know what I'm saying? ATP Combat Media. Very simple.
Gas, salute.
$sign ATP ATP Combat Media, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, man. Sorry about that, Ray. I know I cut you off.
Cool. Go ahead, you got to pay the bills, right? So that's important. So at the end of the day, I think that with all this being said and all this coming to a point of reality, right, as I would say, they realize that the road to riches is not so easy. And I think what's happening is there's a new sheriff in town, and it doesn't matter if Al Heyman runs the company, he's still being ran by mayor, city council, whoever, which is Amazon Prime, and how they want to do and establish things, because they've seen how their road has been paved with other companies. Even with the representation of former Showtime exec Steven Espinoza coming in to bridge the gap between, it doesn't seem like there was any real confines and understanding of things. So it seems that there's been some issues with the PBC getting out of the way to allow Amazon to work, and then Amazon getting out of the way to let the PBC work. So it's some conflictions, and I think we're starting to see these things, because I think even the budget got pulled back. They're now on a PBC's actually now even on a no longer on a budget like they were last year, where they paid for these fights. They're now on a show me basis, which is crazy. And being on a show me basis is saying a lot. And I think Leonard Ellerbe, Gervonta Davis, they're starting to realize, like, look, the bread's not going to be there. We're on this type of business plan with these guys. You know what I mean? They're not sending us out to this place and this place and throwing these big parties and welcoming parties and things of that nature, where we're able to have these great events, these pressers. We're not seeing the cars come in like they did with Top Rank, like they did with Riyadh season, like they did with other places. It just looks like it's very low budgeted. It looks like they're trying to make them earn their budget. They have to provide things for themselves in order to gain a budget. They have to recoup rather. And I don't think a lot of these guys are interested in doing these things. And it looks like these guys are starting to fold their chairs, get up, and call it quits. It looks like it's just not there for them. They're not interested in being a part of something that they don't feel that's growing anymore.
Yeah, man. Listen, man. I think there's definitely, when you're watching how this thing is all coming full circle, without a doubt, there's 100% a rebuilding phase going on with the PBC, right? They're definitely having a revamp to their business model and the structure and the way that they are able to make the money to pay these fighters and to put on these events. There's some reconstruction going on there. Shout out to Johnny Merckx as well, coming back into the Cash App with another $2. Says Tank wants the big payday, hit up Turkey. I mean, that's always an option, but we know what I know of Tank is that Tank is a very prideful man.
Stubborn.
You know what I mean?
Not prideful. Stubborn.
Oh, exactly, right. Excuse me. And ultimately, after he's
Davis,
already,
and it takes one to know one, by the way. So
right.
I know.
So speaking, when he's speaking about Ferraris and all those different things that he needs, he's not going, I don't know. Anybody can change, but it would take some humility for him to be in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, on a card, getting paid by Turkey after all those antics. I'm sure the media would not allow him to escape without being confronted with his energy. I'm saying that he had at one point. He wouldn't escape it. Does he want to go through that? I don't think so. But I agree with you 100%, Johnny Merckx. Turkey Al-Sheikh is 100% a legitimate option. He's already put out his offer early about what he was wanting to do with Gervonta Tank Davis, even though the whole space wanted to make a big stank about it. And, even recently said after Shakur Stevenson is done fighting Floyd Schofield and then, fighting William Zepeda, that at the end of that, he said he wants to give Tank Davis a whole lot of money to fight Shakur Stevenson in Riyadh for a whole lot of money. So Turkey is a guy who you could talk crazy to him. He ain't got no problem still doing the business and making it happen. Canelo Alvarez said something. At first, he kind of got into his feelings, but came back to the table and said, yo, Canelo, just hit me up, bro, if you want to make that happen, bro. I got the bag for you. I got the money right here for you. You know what I'm saying? If you want to make the big fight, we're here, right? So it is what it is. But, just coming full circle back to this whole Leonard Ellerbe situation and even just the whole PBC, because that's what the conversation really is about, right? Like, why is Leonard Ellerbe moving on from the PBC? And, well, first of all, was he ever with the PBC, right? Because like you said earlier, Ray, he was literally an advisor. He was a president or maybe the CEO of Mayweather Promotions. Floyd, dissolved that relationship and pushed Leonard Ellerbe onto this next chapter. And then he comes over to GTD Promotions, trying to probably facilitate the same services he was doing with Floyd Mayweather, but noticing that, obviously the organization and the money that Floyd Mayweather was able to bring through and the connections and the relationships that Floyd Mayweather has is not Leonard Ellerbe's relationships and connections, right? That's what it is. And it's something about leaving the entity who's been kind of an umbrella over you for all these years and allowing you to be in rooms that you would never be able to be in without Floyd Mayweather. And now coming over to Gervonta Tank Davis's team, peacocking a little bit as somebody who can facilitate all the same things you were doing for Floyd. Well, it looks like Gervonta may be kind of like, hey, bro, you're not really, you're a good voice and you're a representation, you know how to articulate things, but really, what do you bring to the table? I have all those connections that you have because most of those people are reaching out to me directly. So, how does that relationship look? And then questions, of course, about Leonard Ellerbe not being present during the press conference. I think he said that he was under the weather or sick, and that's why he couldn't be there. Well, look, that's your, I don't know how sick he was, right? I'm assuming he means he was bedridden and that, he was super contagious. Maybe he had COVID or something. I don't know what it is, but I know that's your flagship fighter. I know that guy right there is your bread and butter, right? So your presence, in my opinion, should have been felt in some kind of way. If it wasn't going to be by being at the press conference, maybe it was doing interviews, social media, promoting, marketing the fight. I don't know that I've seen Leonard Ellerbe actually marketing this fight, right? I've seen content creation spaces that are Tank Davis fans who have complained about Leonard Ellerbe not doing enough to promote the fight. They want to know what's going on with Tank Davis. He was there for David Benavidez and David Morrell press conference, right? Speaking there, but he wasn't at the Tank Davis situation, right? So who knows what that's looking like? To me, it looks like it's the old school money talks, everything else walks thing, right? It's the profitability. What do I have to gain being here? If the PBC, if the situation, if the budget doesn't include paying me, then I'm not as loyal as you think I am. I'm loyal to the money. I'm loyal to my own success. I'm loyal to those things. And if that aligns with me being next to you at a press conference or me speaking a certain way about a fight of yours coming up, then it will look like I'm loyal to you, I'm loyal to the soil. But as soon as my money gets played with, as soon as a discount is requested, as soon as understanding is requested, I may change my mind. I may move on to greener pastures and not support you in the same capacity as I did when I was collecting six figures or whatever it is I was collecting from getting a percentage of whatever you got coming in. And I think that's part of the reason that Gervonta Tank Davis has kind of become unjaded, disenchanted with the boxing space and understanding that there is no loyalty. There is no love. It's all about what have you done for me lately? And if you're not doing anything for me in a present moment, then my whole perspective could change on how I feel my relationship should be with you. Now, Leonard Ellerbe putting 2 weeks notice also lets me know that, you know, as much of a hustler as he's supposed to be, as much of a great businessman as he's supposed to be, he's not really good at making money in boxing. He's good at collecting money with the face of boxing of Floyd Mayweather and the guy who's, you know what I mean, who's the pound for pound greatest in the world, and sitting there and collecting the residuals that just come through because he's sitting in the algorithm, right? He's there to make money with Gervonta Tank Davis, the biggest star. But in all reality, Leonard Ellerbe, what fighters have you created? Who have you built from the ground up? Are you able to do that? You know what I'm saying? Are you able to do what Al Heyman has been kind of portrayed to be able to do? And I say portrayed too as well, even with Al Heyman, being that he pretty much was just taking fighters from other, you know what I'm saying, promotional companies that are already built, and, you know what I'm saying, profiting off of the work of other promotional companies, off of an Oscar De La Hoya, off of a Top Rank, off of a, you know what I mean? So we're starting to see that things aren't so great and so gravy over on the other side of the conversation. And although people want to defend it, and I understand that people want to celebrate and represent it because it's a Black-owned promotional company and that's what it is, boxing is boxing. It's an international sport, man. And if you're taking away from boxing, I don't care what you look like. If your approach and strategy to profiting off of boxing is depleting and taking away from the integrity of the sport, I'm not in support of that. Because when you're done and you've gotten what you need to get and you've done the damage you've done, you're going to do exactly what Leonard is going to do. You're going to retire. You're going to move on. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to leave the sport with a big hole in it with nothing to leave behind. People could say whatever they want about Turkey paying these fighters and putting all these fights together, but at the end of the day, buying Ring Magazine, even if he leaves, he's leaving a legacy of an era of legacy. Excuse me. He's leaving an era of legacy boxing in the space. He's leaving something for other people who are coming up behind him to build on, to say this is what boxing looks like. This is the tradition of boxing, and it benefits the fan. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, secret man, I hope the PBC will be strong in 2025. You know what I'm saying? But clearly the people who work there, you're going to find out in 2025 and 2024 who's really there for the long run, who's going to work with them building back up, and the people that were just there to take advantage of something profitable and something that was doing great. Shout out to a new addition, because
and our question is to ask if the PBC is going to retain it, how many big fighters they're going to retain, and that's where the question comes. And I think there's writing on the wall where you see like people in powerful positions like a Leonard Ellerbe taking off. Tank Davis talking about retiring. Rumors that Rayo may be leaving and Benavidez may be leaving. These things are serious allegations that they're putting out there to be taken seriously, you know what I mean? And as a fan, and to be looking into like, yo, is everything all right over there? It sparks a flame, right? Is everything burning that we see over there? We just don't see it behind the trees yet. You know what I mean? We just get a little smoke signal. We need to know what's going on to the point where it looks looks really bad, man, in the public view, and I get it. You know what I mean? I want them to be successful. I think the more we have in boxing, the better. And we even welcoming Turkey Al-Sheikh. Maybe the move to Amazon wasn't that great. Maybe they should have talked to the Zone and moved to that platform, being that there's already an established channel, a sports channel or network channel that has multiple boxing entities. Or they should have revisited some of their old friends, seeing if they can get back in with USA, get back in with Fox. There was a lot of options. Even I don't know how they blew it with Netflix, because when I see what MVP did on Netflix, that just shocked me. How can you guys not deal with that? Maybe Netflix didn't want to deal with the pay-per-view thing. I don't know behind the scenes. And
we always going to be able to speculate on it, right?
Right.
But the one thing I'm going to say is that the PBC is under reconstruction, and it's going to have growing pains. This is part of the game. Now, it's going to test the fortitude of the people who say they love boxing and support boxing and want to push boxing. It's going to test their fortitude. There's one thing, and I was going to say before you jumped in, and I was going to say that, New Edition said it best, you know what I mean? Sunny days, everybody loved them, but can you stand the rain? You know what I'm saying? And it's raining right now over there in the PBC, and there's a lot of people who are showing that they don't want to get wet. You know what I'm saying? And him moving on to greener pastures where it's sunnier, because at the end of the day, it's a business relationship. It's not family and all this stuff. And you know what I mean? That's not what it's about. It's about business. It's money in, money out. You know what I mean? And Gervonta Tank Davis has made it clear, you messing with my money, bro, I'm gonna retire. I'm not here for anything else but for my own needs. And he has every right to be selfish in that situation, because he has a lot of people eating off his plate. He got his family, and obviously his kids, his mother. He got a gym. He got all so many different things that he's focused on. Right. So, if it's not working out the way it's supposed to work out, he's going to move on. And when you're talking about rumors of David Benavidez and Rayo Venezuela and all these guys moving on, they're just rumors. But at the end of the day, they're legitimate. They're reasonable rumors, because if their business isn't being handled the way they want their business to be handled, if they're not as active as they want to be, if they're not able to cross promote and make the biggest fights and get involved in certain conversations because of a business model that doesn't make room for them to move around, then they might choose to move around and take some other options, right? It is what it is, and that's what it's always going to be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But Salute to Swift 718 saying good morning from Brooklyn, gents.
Good morning,
much
man.
Respect, man. Thank you, man.
I'll be in Brooklyn this week, man. I'll be out there this Sunday. Metro.
Thank you, bro.
You know what I mean? I'll be up that way,
bro. But yeah, so Leonard Ellerbe talking about putting his 2 weeks notice in. It's very interesting. It was also a little bit interesting in him speaking about, legacy fights and some of the best, they asked him a question about how he feels about legacy fights, about the biggest fights, I think he was saying, or the most competitive fights. I can't remember what the question was, but he basically answered it with, he likes them, but they're real brutal. And, putting your fighters in a position to get beat on like that, it changes their life, changes their health. He was basically pointing in the direction of he's not really all about that. He doesn't, he painted it as if it was more so a concern of fighters' health and safety, but also there was hints of, make the easier fights, matchmaking, not, cherry picking a little bit, you know what I mean? Stylistically picking the right fights and not putting fighters in grueling fights on purpose, knowing that this fighter right here is going to offer a certain amount of adversity. Why should my fighter get in the ring with that fighter? I thought that was kind of weird. But it also spoke to the matchmaking that the PBC's kind of been doing over the years with a lot of their fighters, specifically Gervonta.
And also, Clay, that says another thing about them having fighters sitting on the shelf and fighting once a year, maybe twice if they're lucky, and going against other promotional companies or fighting the wrong fights. And like you said, getting caught up and beat up by somebody that they shouldn't be in the ring with. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that says a lot. Like you just said, good point. Good take. You shouldn't, people speak too much. That's all.
Yeah, it is.
We want the information, so I ain't mad at him. We want the information. We got it, and now we're talking about it.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. It is what it is, right? But moving on. You know what I mean? I also wanted to cover something else. I'm trying to get to it. And I said it a little bit earlier, you know what I'm saying? And just we can segue right into, is the boxing space ready to usher back in legacy, right? That being said, right, because it does seem like the algorithm is moving towards legacy being where the money's at, because the money is at where Turkey's at right now. And Turkey's more focused on legacy, right? He's looking at making the most competitive fights. He's trying to make history, you know what I'm saying, with all the fights that he's putting together. Is the boxing space ready to usher that back in? You think the fans are embracing the legacy of boxing at this point, or are they still looking at their one fighter that they want to celebrate and you know what I mean, be on that page with him?
I think we have a mixture of fans. We have different generations of fans, and I think what's happening is, when that happens, because I work all night, so you know what I mean. But so what happens is we got the generation of fans that know what that is. You know what I mean? We know what it is to see a fighter lose his L and get back in the ring. Salute to Swift 718 in the building again with the dub, as they would say. Go ahead.
Swift 718 in the building. Shout out to people to love says. So Leonard and the ideology he and that side pushes has stagnated boxing, hurts boxing's public image and popularity, and now he's dipping out. Nah, man, we're in this together. You ain't going nowhere. LOL.
That's funny. Yeah. That's kind of where I was leaning. It's
listen, man, that's a very accurate. It really is. Like, I mean, and people don't want to, I know some people don't want to hear about it. They feel like you're hating, you're kicking the back end of the PBC or Leonard Ellerbe, but it's just honest conversation. We got to be real about it. Whatever you guys may feel about where boxing, I've heard people complain about boxing, saying these fighters are spoiled and they just want to get paid all the money in the world for doing nothing. But at the same time, you don't want to highlight the fact that part of that the enabler in that process was the PBC's business model. It was Al Heyman. It was the way he was paying the fighters and not putting on the most competitive fights, but giving them the biggest bags. So now you see, Errol Spence sitting out and waiting on his business to look the way it was looking when he was with Showtime. You're looking at Jamel and Jamal Charlo, who was sitting on the sideline waiting for their business to come together the way it looked at one point in time. You're looking at a lot of fighters who are doing this, and you get mad at Turkey. You want to say Turkey's overpaying fighters, but at least he's paying them to be in competitive fights that you want to see.
He's giving them more time. There ain't no back end payments. You know what I mean?
Right. So, and then that thing, and then is that part of it. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with Swift 100%. You made some moves. You were part of a movement that has put boxing in the position it is right now, and now you're done with it. Right now, it's not giving you back the returns it once was, and now you're moving on to the next chapter, and people need to understand that that's what's going to ultimately happen at the end of the day. You don't spend the money with these fighters. As boxing fans, we have to share our part in the problem, and the problem is that we didn't push back enough. Enough of us didn't push back enough at poor matchmaking, at fights we didn't want to see. We didn't push back enough at these pay-per-views. You know what I mean? Just being every fight being a pay-per-view. We just got caught up in running with the narrative that, black promoters, man, I love watching a black company blow up and do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, what did we end up with? What did we end up with at the end of the day? Right? So it is what it is, Shout out to Swiss 718. I think that was a real good
yes, it was. Shout out to Mikados, Mac of the South.
Yeah, okay. Macadus, right? Macadus South.
Macadus. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Macadus South.
Salute, Sean in the building. Salute. 2 days in a row. Clay, we feeling special, man. It really must be Christmas, bro.
No doubt.
Sean is here 2 days in a row.
Let me see what Sean's saying, because I know Sean going to say something. He says, I agree with part of what you say, but the PBC outside of Turkey put on the most competitive fights. Golden Boy, Top Rank, and Matchroom usually put on lopsided, especially Top Rank. Everybody participated in it, but I do think that the PBC is suffering a little bit more than them, because they base their model really on this pay-per-view, making everybody pay for everything thing. You know what I'm saying? And I think just money-wise, the way they were moving around with the money and paying people and promises that they were making, I think it just came down on top of their head. Whereas the people you're mentioning, Golden Boy, Top Rank, Matchroom, they did their fights a little, they were free. They were on, you know, you might pay for an app or something like that. So they were able to sustain a little bit more. But I mean, look, we're in a year, the last year of ESPN and Top Rank's relationship, right? So they're also having their issues that they have to kind of figure out, right? But it is what it is.
Back to that question, but I'm gonna go with I'm gonna answer Sean too. Also, what I think is when you mentioned Golden Boy, half the Golden Boy fighters actually ended up on the PBC. That's where that split came in between him and Al Heyman. He's, you know what I mean. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I think Matchroom puts on great and really good competitive fights. Not every fight's competitive because just like Madison Square Garden or ESPN, you got to have some people you're just trying to showcase. You know what I mean? Some young prospects or things of that nature. But I think Top Rank the last 2 years have been putting on some great fights, some week-to-week basis or whatever you want to say. I think they've actually been probably the upper echelons of putting on free fights and good fights on the table every month. So I have to give them respect on that note, and definitely been doing it on a powerhouse of what PBC did in 2023. You know what I mean, with Showtime closing the door and giving them that big walkaway present, because we haven't gotten that in 2024, and it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? Us as fans, we were spoiled, and we were spoiled by a company that weren't able to produce the same exact thing, and it looks bad. It looks like they got a flat tire, and now everyone out there that support them is pushing the car. And that's what it looks like, unfortunately. And I have to say, like, hey, the reality is the reality. Hopefully this year they bounce back. I would like to see them bounce back. I'm a fan of boxing, the sport, and that's what it needs to be. Back to your original question, though, Clay, about let me double back because you cut me off when we read a question. We read the super chat. We were talking about Leonard Ellerbe to PBC. Hold on. Repeat the question because you.
I don't remember. I have no idea what I asked, man. We just have to move on. You come back to.
I'm just kidding. No, we keep it moving.
I don't remember.
I actually had the answer for you too. I was answering something very important, but it's cool. We'll go back. We'll move on. Move forward.
No doubt. So, I like what Phil. You know, Sean is always. You know, I like Sean when he comes in because he always keeps it so.
Yeah, he does.
Real, you know what I'm saying? He said, hell, Oscar De La Hoya blamed matchmaking for Tim Tszyu losing when to me it was just a bad matchup for Tim. Yeah, man, and that's actually an interesting point of topic right there, right? Which is the competitive matchmaking versus the cherry picking, or however you want to look at the stylistically favorable matchmaking, however you want to word it, is also part of the issue, right? Especially when you're talking about pay-per-views, when you're talking about making people pay, it's really important that the fight matches as far as value is concerned. And, with that matchmaking with Tim Tszyu and Bakram, that was a slip up, in my opinion, either from the PBC or Tim Tszyu, being the competitive fighter that he is, probably was getting advised to like take tune-ups and things of that nature and probably push for the title fight against Bakram. But yeah, man, that's called competitive matchmaking. That's what you risk when you do things like that, right?
And I understand too, Clay, the fact that Oscar would be upset with that because he had two opportunities to get Virgil in the ring with Tim Tszyu after that fight that he had with Fundora to get back in the championship picture. And the fact that he accepted, was at the press conference and then turned it down, and then they announced it again for the following month and just was nowhere to be found, and then turned around and fought Bakram. I mean, these are things where we always say, you know what I mean, there was a PC involved because Bakram went on, Virgil Ortiz went on to have a successful fight right after that, where it was a good crowd, nice money, great scene, where in the other sense of Tim Tszyu, he ended up losing the fight, and it was a poor audience. It looked like they were in a freaking gym at my high school nearby. So it was crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know. Hey, Barbara D, salute. Queen, how's it going? My sister.
Hey, Barbara, salute.
Another Davis in the building.
No doubt,
Barbara D,
man.
you know our cousin's gonna be fighting at the family reunion, right? We got Tank and Keyshawn out there popping off. We got to break that up.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, the matchmaking, the pay-per-views, a lot of those things, you know what I'm saying, kind of like participating, contributing to what we see happening, you know what I mean, in the space. But just kind of coming full circle. Also, let me shout out to COE Films for the $5 holler, man, supporting the channel. I appreciate you, King. Says PBC been putting on fights. It it should use the fight the fans Haversian not been wanting. Fans have not been, I'm going to say have not been wanting. Charging big money for fights like Lamont Roach, problem. Yeah, man. It comes full circle, and it comes to that point, right, where you can celebrate them when they deserve to be celebrated, but you can also hold them accountable when
right.
You know what I mean? You should hold them accountable. And like I've always said, guys, it's our job as fans, man, to keep these guys completely honest. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep them honest, because if you don't, they won't do it, right? You have to let them know when the fights ain't the fight you want to see. You got to push back accordingly, or they're going to continue to give it to you, because as long as you're giving up the money, obviously nothing's broke. Why fix it?
Right. And I'm not gonna totally bash them. I think they did give us a lot of good fights.
100%.
I think there was just so many watered down fights in and out and in between that didn't really satisfy our hunger, or there were a lot of upsets in the fights that we did not want to see. You know what I mean? Like that were pushed upon us. So I think there's a lot to be said. I think there's some good equals and things of that nature. So, you know what I mean? Hey, salute Green Villain, salute Clay and Ray. Man, why Bob says Devin didn't want to fight with Tio. Bob said he tried to make the fight happen, though Tio was lying. I guess he wasn't. Slapped in the face, shaking my head. You want the next one, Clay?
Hold on a second. Let me read this one again just to kind of understand what he's saying here. Green Villain Mike says, salute Clay and Ray. Man, why Bob say Haney didn't want to fight Tio? Bob said he tried to make the fight happen, though Tio was lying. I guess he wasn't. I didn't hear about that, Green Villain Mike. That's interesting though.
Yeah,
I didn't hear about that. I mean, I believe he said it, right? So I mean, I guess I'm saying is I have no thoughts on it really yet, because I'm just now hearing about it right here, that that Bob communicated that. That's interesting. I don't know what happened. I can tell you this though, with Devin Haney right now, it does seem like he's pricing himself out of boxing a little bit. It seems like he's between a rock and a hard place to understand that boxing has a value on him, a market value on him, and they're not willing to pay more than what that value is. And it seems like Devin may have been used to a higher pay or being treated a certain way, and he seems to be stifling or stalling out his career a little bit, fighting for this payday. That I mean, it just looks like the boxing space unanimously have come together to be like, young bull, you're not worth that much money to us. We're not willing to pay you. What are you going to do if we don't pay you? If the boxing space is not going to pay Devin Haney what he wants to be paid, what he feels like he deserves to be paid, then what is Devin Haney going to do? Is he going to pay for his own fights? Is he going to co-promote and kind of, bet on himself? Is he going to retire from boxing? Is he going to just wait until he just gets frozen out of the game? It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with this, because he needs to get back in the ring. And it seems like he had an opportunity to get in there with Liam Paro, but Liam Paro said, listen, he priced himself out. He had an opportunity to, he got Turkey Al-Sheikh to kind of support something with Tio. That's the rumor, but Tio passed on that, right? Now you have Bob Arum saying he walked away from an opportunity to fight Tio with Golden Boy. Probably the price being a part of the reason why Devin Haney didn't take the fight. I'm not going to say I'm not ready to sit here and say that he didn't take the fight. Hold on a second, bro. Hold on a second. Right. Yeah. So he's saying that, I'm saying that Tio, at the end of the day, I don't think Devin Haney is fearful of Tio in a physical way, right? It's probably some business that Devin Haney is not comfortable with being done with Bob Arum, right? As far as the money is concerned, whatever the offer might be. And then moving forward, even with Hitchinson and Eddie Hearn, it looks like if Devin Haney's not getting paid the money he wants to get paid, that we're not going to see him in the ring as soon as we might want to see him. Go ahead, Ray. Okay, but actually, let me just hit this last super chat, the big one. Swift 718 in the building again, showing some love. Shout out to Swift 718 for putting some color in the chat. Says PBC had network TV, but the promotion lacked. They squandered a chance to truly connect to a national audience, interesting, and establish themselves in terms of visibility. The promoters are to blame for taking their foot off the gas years ago. That's listen, bro. That is a profound perspective right there. It really is, because they did kind of ride the wave that they built, but they didn't continue to put their foot on the gas, like you said, expose the network to an international level, on an international platform. They got real comfortable with the urban area, with the local US, you know what I'm saying, American boxing, however you want to call it. And it looks like they also limited the amount of fights they can make, the competitive fights they can make by alienating a part of the market, a worldly part of the market, and making everything local. Yeah, man, they fell short. They fell short in the business model and the strategy of how they were going to market the company, the strategy of how they were going to make the money, the strategy of making everything pay-per-view. It was unsustainable, and people were saying that for years, that it was unsustainable. But go ahead, Ray.
Oh, go ahead. Get the next super chat real quick.
Oh, we got another one. Damn. Okay.
Yes,
Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. Let me do this. 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 And let me do this. And let me do that. And we go back to Swift, man. Salute to Swift 718. Everybody showing love today, man. Supporting the channel, man. Really appreciate you guys. Swift 1718 back in the building, saying Top Rank has stopped promoting once they got on ESPN. Yeah, they did. So it seems like, okay, all they do now is book arenas and show dates. Same with many of the American promoters.
Yes.
Man, yo, Swift, you know, I think that's the big thing, that the big elephant in the room, right? The elephant in the room is that Turkey, that Riyadh season, that, you know, and DAZN in general really kept their foot on the gas. They were always building up their channel, their network, whatever have you. They were always building because they were always the underdogs in comparison to PBC, right? So this may be a lesson for the future for even like Eddie Hearn, or I mean Frank Warren, who's a veteran in the game, who probably knows this already. But the mistakes that were made, you know what I mean? Not keeping their foot on the gas, not continuing to promote, not continuing to look to make the biggest fights. They really slept on the fan base just saying stupid forever. I think they really just bet on people just staying stupid, and Turkey's kind of exposed like competitive boxing, and it's kind of put them in a little bit of a problem, right? You know, I mean, even Turkey exposing Top Ranks, Jared Anderson, right? Exposing him, like putting him in the ring, like, oh, that dude's not really him. Interesting, man. Interesting.
And,
shout out
and one more thing, and
right,
another super chat in the building, Clay, to keep Ray from talking. Go for it.
That's what I'm saying. Let me get these super chats, man. You guys showing a lot of love today. I appreciate you guys, man. What do we need to do to get boxing in at least the top 10 of sports? Barbara, I'm gonna be honest with you. Competitive matchmaking. You got to give the fans what they want.
Yep.
The propaganda behind non-competitive matchmaking being entertaining in this sport is nonsense, because the reality is everybody was pushing that narrative and trying to say that this was working. For years, it was not working. For years, boxing has been going down and down and down. The fans have communicated across all sports. So many fans went over to mixed martial arts to go mess with Dana White. Why? When you hear them speaking, they're all consistently saying the same thing. We know we're going to see the best fight the best at the UFC. We're not going to get that here. The belts aren't respected. The ranking structure is not respected. Legacy is not respected. The sport is reckless. It moves in 100 different directions. Structure needs to be brought to the boxing space to where people can see the best fight the best. We can know who the champions are. We can know who the best are based on the championships, based on where they fall as far as the ranking structure, and a ranking structure that's not getting paid off, like what the WBC just did with Errol Spence, making him #1 in the WBC rankings for nothing. He just came off of getting his tail whooped by Terrence Crawford, never even competed at 154, and now he's #1 in the WBC ranking structure. What fan of a sport is going to respect that? Right? They understand that this sport is super corrupt. It's always been corrupt. It's always been kind of lawless. The mob has always been involved. People with money have always been involved. It's true, but it's still in the worst place it's ever been as far as integrity. And the sport needs integrity. It needs structure again. It needs respect to the belts. It needs all of that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And that's what's going to make boxing be a top 10 sport again, is when the structure is back into sport.
One more. You gotta celebrate. Give me a little clap. Golf clap.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Salute to Swift 18 being a member for 1 month on the channel. I appreciate you, man. Super Bowl, World Series, NBA Finals pull the highest ratings. The best versus the best is the winning formula. 100%. It's a simple formula. It's a simple formula.
And
like as you should, Secret Dance Move, as you should. And believe it or not, we support the PBC.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm going to actually go back before I go to my other point. I'm going to go with Barbara D just said about top 10 in sports and how we get it there. The perfect example is we have to bring eyes to the sport. We're too busy moving the needle away from what we used to have back when we were acknowledging boxing. When you see someone like Jake Paul who's able to sell out an event, and I hate to keep bringing up Jake Paul in these situations, him, Ryan Garcia, these are big names in social media. These are guys. I'm not a fan of Ryan Garcia either way, but they're such big names that people gravitate to them and they follow them, and they have such a big following that it brings people to watch the fights. Tank Davis is another big name in the sport, and now him announcing he may retire after this year, people are going to be interested in watching boxing. He's going to bring a few names and people out there. Canelo, another person. People only watch what they know from the casual point of view, and I don't mean us. I mean like the casual fans of the names they know. I have a coworker that said, "I love Tank Davis. Who was the last person he fought again?" And it sounds funny, right? I said, "Well, he's got a fight coming up. You mean that?" She goes, "Yeah. That guy that like looks like him." Like, what? So you hear what I'm saying? So, and she goes, and he's supposed to be fighting somebody from New Jersey, right? And I said, no. So I had to break all this down to her. So it just shows you the casualness of the sport, and that the fans that outside of boxing, the sports fans outside of boxing, and who they're attracted to. We need more people from our source of boxing to bring attention to the fighters that are in the sport. We don't need to keep talking about the same fighters. We need to talk about boxing in general, as we do on this platform and other platforms that are out there that do it. And we need to do it outside of this platform. We need to do it when we are talking boxing. We don't have to just keep bigging up our guy and telling us how our guy's number one and this and that. We would have to say, hey, did you go see that other guy that wants to fight Tank? You know, he's a pretty good fighter too. You should go check him out. You know, we have to put things out there like that. Even though we may not agree that that's a fighter that we would want to, a fight we may see, or a fighter that we like, we still have to put it out there to make this fight bigger than what it is. And those things happen. Watch what Benavidez and Morrell does. They just got a whole new fan base, believe it or not, from just pushing each other in a press conference. And it was a small press conference, but that was a shot heard around the world. And that fight just blew up. So these things happen. Back to the whole Bob and Devin thing, which I was going to state earlier, was Bob did send Devin a contract. That contract was sent out when Devin went up to go fight Barbosa for the vacant title when Tio retired. Bob at that time.
Devin went to fight Arnold Barbosa?
Not Arnold, I'm sorry. Barbosa.
No, you talking about when he fought Ryan Garcia and Arnold Barbosa? You talking about that card?
No. He went to fight Arnold Barbosa because he was going to for the WBO when Tio said he was retiring from boxing. So
Bob, you're not talking about Arnold. Okay.
Not Arnold. That's what I said. Not the other. I think the other guy.
Right. I got you.
You know what I mean? The Barbosa, not Barbosa. Barbosa you're talking about, right?
No, I'm talking about Arnold Barbosa when you said that, but you're not talking about Arnold Barbosa. You're talking about I'm gonna tell you who you're talking about.
Either Barbosa or Barbosa. I don't know.
Right.
Not the old man. Not the old man. The guy that
not the WBO mandatory to Tio.
Yes.
Devin went and fought Arnold Barbosa?
No, he was supposed to. They were trying to make a fight for the vacant title. And Bob, when Tio came back, Bob sent him an offer, but at that time he had already been in talks with
Arnold Barbosa.
No, the other cat that he fought, Regis. And he was
boom. I got you. I remember now. I actually remember what you're talking about.
So that's when Bob and he turned that fight down at that point. As a matter of fact, we had a conversation with HLD over that, and then we read it on screen, right?
Right, I remember exactly.
So that was the only time Bob had sent the offer to Devin Haney on a fight. So that was old news. I get it. You know what I mean? It circulates and people bring it in like it was yesterday.
Right.
But that was the only time. As far as Tio making a fight with the Barclays and all that, that never existed. That was something that they were talking about. They had a little conversation on the phone. According to sources in Devin, there was a drunk conversation, so they kind of left it alone. I don't know, wasn't there. Can't say it was factual or not factual. But hey, it is what it is. As far as the next point, I'm waiting on you.
Oh, okay, no doubt. I wanted to speak to what Hunter Young put here.
Salute, Echo.
Salute, Echo. Salute.
I'm good, buddy.
Let me see here. Shit, Barbara D. That ship has sailed. Most casuals want slugfest and knockouts. Claymore is missing the mentality of the younger generation. Is a lot different than the older generation. Man, listen, bro.
Thank you. That's what we were talking about, and I was going to answer. Go ahead.
Okay, so Hunter Young, I'm not missing that point. Not at all. But I do understand that the younger generation in boxing has rode this wave out with the slugfest, right? And they're going to do one of two things. And one thing about this generation is that they're ADD. They're here today, gone tomorrow. Boxing is not going to survive off of people being here today, gone tomorrow, because you can't consistently give somebody. It's like drugs, right? When people like smoke crack or do heroin, every time they do it the next time, it's harder and harder for them to get that high. You can't keep that same high. You can't do it, right? If you're going to be a fan of this sport, you have to be part of the consistent algorithm of what's sustainable. The younger boxing generation came in with Tank Davis. They're seeing, these exciting, explosive fights where people get knocked out, but they never really got into the actual sport of boxing. And I honestly believe that. I believe that a lot of these fans today don't really like boxing. They like what you said, the dopamine, the highlight, the slugfest, and they're not into the science of boxing. Well, look, these platforms like the one we're on right now, we have to go ahead and make sure that if we're going to be pushing this sport and creating content on the sport, that we're exposing and speaking about the actual sweet science of boxing, that we're showing the competitive nature of the sport and have people be more into the competitive nature of the sport rather than the other version of the sport, which is people knocking out people who we know aren't going to be competitive in the matches. So I understand what it is, but I also understand the responsibility and the assignment of a platform like this, which is to push back at that idea that great boxing is only people getting knocked out and people, getting exposed and however you want to look at it, all the drama of the boxing, and get back more to the competitive nature of the boxing. Because like Swift said, basketball, football, all these sports, there's structure there. And the generation that likes football loves football. When you watch a football game, it's not all exciting, but it's competitive. And that's what you're watching a sport for. It should be that. So boxing has to translate itself from entertainment, it being entertainment, it always will be, but also to be a competitive sport. That's what makes everybody watch it. That's what makes the casinos go crazy in Vegas. That's what people are betting on, right? It's competitive sports. Boxing doesn't seem to be holding that. Like it should be holding that. Shout out to COE Films. They have put out large purses which lead to higher pay-per-view to compensate for that money. If you have a lackluster fight, pay-per-view has to be reasonable. 100% COE Films. Not everything is a pay-per-view fight, bro. Not every fight is a pay-per-view fight, man. It just not. Pay-per-view fights are supposed to be special. And they're supposed to be, in my opinion, legacy. Because legacy means that the best is fighting the best, for sure. If you're going to charge me a pay-per-view, I should be going into that on pins and needles, trying to figure out in my mind who I think is going to win. It shouldn't just be a laydown. Go ahead, Ray. Look how you about
I was just going to say, I still don't see where that conversation is, and I have a legitimate source in front of me, and there's no offer. You have to send a link to Clay or I, and we have to research that because I don't see anything based on any recent transactions or points for it.
Is he talking about because T.O. said that recently they did put out offers for Devin. I think he spoke to a little bit as far as the Broccoli said. I think he spoke to
that's the only one I remember. I don't remember Bob being involved in that. It was T.O. and Devin talking.
But I mean, Bob represents T.O.'s best interest. So is it far-fetched that Bob was involved?
Yeah, well, it's always talks first, right?
Right, but T.O. said there was offers made.
No, he said they booked the arena for the fight, which doesn't make any sense. Why would you book an arena if you don't have any offers or any deals? Remember, he said he booked the Barclays for the fight.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That was like a year ago.
No, just recently, very recently.
That was like almost a year ago,
brother. Just recently,
they talked about it recently, but that was before he fought Regis. That was almost a year ago.
Okay, just recently he spoke in an interview saying that he put out offers to Devin Haney and
Okay, it's an interview that just dropped. Hold on.
Just recently dropped. Very recently, he spoke to this.
Okay. Hey, if it happened, it happened.
That's what
I
I'm
just
trying to
didn't
tell
see
you.
anything. I'm looking at my sources. So if it's in an interview, that means that it's just something that was just talked about, right? And who was
Right.
okay.
So I don't know if Bob Arum was involved in it though, but I would
You're saying
assume
the
that
interview Bob, and Bob said this in an interview, but Bob said other things that were true and not true regarding fights. Like he said things and then backtracked and went back in. So I mean, it is what it is.
right. I'm
They
not too
just posted
sure.
it an hour ago. Okay, so this is definitely that's why I don't have it on my source. I'm gonna have to go. You sure it ain't AI? You know, AI can do everything these days. I'm just playing.
Nobody's sure, but hold on a second.
Yeah.
T.O. dropped some information recently about offers being put out to Devin. And I remember commenting on it because I'm like, now he wants to be the A side. And that's why, Turkey put out an offer. You don't want to take that, but he wants to be the A side. So what I'm saying is, and I guess we'll find out if the interview just got dropped at the end of the day, was Bob Arum involved in that conversation that T.O. was talking about like 2-3 weeks ago? I don't know why Devin would turn that away. I'll be honest with you. It has to be the money. Nah, Bob's talking with the mic in front of him, bro. It ain't AI. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this: if he did turn it down, it's because T.O. was probably looking for that bag that he never got, and he doesn't deserve the A side in a fight when he never broke. If you guys, in my opinion, if we're gonna talk, he does, but he doesn't, right? If we're gonna say that the bigger name was Tank Davis in all these fights, and Devin had to take less money, or this person had to take less money to get into the fight, then we got to look at the point of Devin being the household name and Tio wanting to be the A side. That could be a potential reason why this fight is not happening. I don't know. But I'll be right back. I got a package at the door. My wife just called.
All right, no doubt. Yeah, man, just kind of like just tapping into that, just to say that whatever reason Devin Haney walked away from that fight, it's gonna bring questions, the same questions I've been had. I'll be honest with you guys, as far as Devin is concerned, which is the activity. If no price is checking the box for you in order for you to make a fight, then what are we looking at? Because clearly, Devin went out and said that, the boxing space is freezing him out, that he's being blackballed, right? Well, here is a situation right here where there's an offer being made. So you're not being blackballed, right? It's not about people aren't interested in the Devin Haney experience, pause, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote. But it's that the amount of money they're offering you is probably not where you used to being paid. And I'm saying that in the spirit of, even Eddie Hearn talked about the business of Devin Haney not being a profitable one, that they were always trying to build him up and hope that he head in a certain direction to where they probably recoup something, but that the inconsistencies from Devin Haney based on that Ryan Garcia fight kind of like derailed that whole the momentum of that movement. And now boxing promotional companies seem to be growing into like, yo, bro, you're not really popular like that. Really, there isn't the biggest fights in the world to necessarily make for you. We can make the fights, but the money that you're looking to get to be in the same conversation of what a Gervonta Tank Davis gets, or any face of boxing or pay-per-view needle mover gets paid, you're not worth it. You know what I mean? So Devin has a decision to make soon. The decision is going to be what's more important, the activity or the money. And look, man, I hate to be in his shoes, right? But he always showed us to be somebody who chased legacy, who wasn't concerned about money. But ever since that Regis Prograis fight, he looks like he's been chasing prize money. And look, we got to be honest, the Ryan Garcia situation has knocked his value down. Not only the Ryan Garcia situation as far as what happened in the ring, but even with his whole lawsuit and all these things that come with it and the way it looks, people are not embracing Devin Haney. They're embracing him less than they ever did. So he has decisions to make. He has to get in that ring. You know what I mean? He has to prove himself again. He has to put himself in position to be able to get back in that conversation. And I see Bill doing a tour, campaigning from platform to platform, speaking about racism in the sport and inequalities and things. Those things are all great trigger topics, you know what I'm saying, to kind of like get controversy going on around you. But I don't know if that's necessarily leaning on or affecting the perspective from the people who have the money, that are willing to cut the checks on what they're willing to pay to see you fight. And if Devin Haney goes to Turkey Al-Sheikh to fight, it's going to be in a very competitive fight. The most competitive fight available is what it's going to be. So we got to see what Devin's going to do. I'll be honest with you. Let me look in the chat here and see what's going on here, man. Greenville says, you're right about that, Clay. Thank you, man. Top rank. Let me see. Raphael says, top rank Queensberry and Matchroom have always had affordable pay-per-views for the last 3 years. Don't forget about Pro Box TV, who's smoking with the fights they put on. So Cold versus Pacheco is mega, 100%. That is a mega fight. Boxing needs to start a 60-40. Winner takes most. Ooh, Mr. Big Play. Whoa, that's crazy. I mean, obviously, I'd love that as a fan, but I don't know as a boxer, if you want to sit there, put your life on the line and risk, I don't know. I mean, if you built your market value to a certain degree, are you trying to play with that and risk getting 40% to somebody who's not as popular as you, who's not putting the same amount of butts in seats that you are that night in the ring, who's not selling, who's not selling more pay-per-views, who is the attraction? Are you willing to gamble your percentage away to you having a bad night? I don't know. I don't know, guys. I ain't gonna lie to you. If it was me, I wouldn't. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wouldn't do that. I definitely wouldn't do that. Well, let's go ahead and continue to move along with these topics here. What do we got here? Vasiliy Lomachenko. I do want to talk about Vasiliy Lomachenko, though, because you guys know that there was a rumor going around that Vasiliy Lomachenko was retiring, right? It turned out to be fake news, though. We debunked that pretty early that it was fake news, but it still sparked a great conversation, right? The conversation it sparked is, well, if Vasiliy Lomachenko is not retiring, Clay, why don't you put on that Bob interview? I got to find it, man. Okay, you guys are really interested in this Bob interview, right? So let's put it up. It depends on where it's at, because I'm really not. These sites, bro, they be trying to copyright you in 2 seconds. Here it is right here 1 hour ago. It's Fight Hub. How's Fight Hub? Is Fight Hub cool? I'll take the chance. I don't care. They could demonetize me. I'll try my best to make it educational. Hold on a second. I'll put it up right now. Put on the Bob interview. Put on the Bob interview. I got to take it out, man.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Marcos Villegas for Fight Up TV, being joined with the chairman, the founder of Top Rank Boxing, Mr. Bob Arum. Bob, first off, happy belated birthday. I want to get some quick updates from you, Bob. First off, the status of Teofimo Lopez. I know it was a head.
We'd love that fight to happen. We're still pursuing that fight. We'd love that.
Ennis was being pursued. What is the status of that at this point?
We're still pursuing beginning of the year.
So Teo would move up in weight.
Probably the best place for that fight is Madison Square Garden. Depends on the opponent, but if it's Ennis, probably. So we'll find the big fight.
Yeah, I'm not playing this whole interview, guys. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm gonna get copywritten. I gotta watch the interview myself to get some perspective as to what happened. We're not playing that. We're not playing that. No, don't. Thank you, Secret Dance Move. Exactly, man. No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, just staying back on point. Vasiliy Lomachenko to retire or not to retire? That is the question. Does Vasiliy Lomachenko? I'm hearing that his team is saying that there's a high probable chance that he might retire, somewhere in the high 90% area that he might retire. But there is something holding him, obviously. He's still making up his mind. We saw the last time we saw Vasiliy Lomachenko active in the ring was against George Kambosos. He stopped him, I think, in the 10th or 11th round of that fight, became the IBF world champion for that vacating belt. And, for conversation purposes, also picked up an IBO title that George Kambosos had. But ultimately, after that fight, it looked like, his goal was going to be to unify, right? Because even in the locker room during that time period, he was talking about how he wanted to retire, but his father wanted him to be in the conversation of becoming an undisputed champion, wanted to accomplish his legacy achievement, and was going to move forward based on his father's wishes. Well, he had an opportunity, obviously, to unify with Gervonta Tank Davis, supposedly came to the negotiation table where money was offered, or something was offered, some kind of agreement was offered, and Vasiliy Lomachenko took the option of walking away from that agreement, or walking away from that fight, that opportunity, and say that he wanted to spend time with his family. The boxing space was shaken by it, obviously, saying that they thought he ducked, which I have no problems with. I mean, he could have fought and he chose not to fight. You can call that a duck. I don't see why that's not a duck. But at the end of the day, he still was the IBF and still is the IBF champion, who is taking a hiatus, talking about coming back in 2025. Rumors circulating that he was even entertaining retiring, whether he was going to come back or not. Now, whatever you think the reasoning was for him walking away from the negotiation with Gervonta Tank Davis, whether it was because of money, whether it was because of fear, whatever it was, he did, and he's holding a belt and also in the conversation of holding up potentially unifying and potentially undisputed champion being crowned at 135 pounds. So what does Vasiliy Lomachenko do at this point, right? Taking that into consideration, what does Vasiliy Lomachenko do, and what would inspire Vasiliy Lomachenko to come back, right? I'm not too sure. Hold on, let me bring Ray Davis back in the building. I see Ray Davis in the building. Ray Davis putting color chance. Thanks to all the boxing fans. Salute, Ray. You're back. Did you get your package?
It was more than one package, bro. I just had an army people dropping stuff off to my house.
Was it Christmas?
Yeah, it's for the kids.
Yeah. They get those kids together. Got to get them together.
Listen, less money out of my pocket. I take it. No,
listen. But the title's on the screen, man. Vasiliy Lomachenko to retire or not to retire. That is the question, right?
Right.
And I'm not sure how much you heard, but just real quick, just to say that there was rumors that he's going to retire. Turns out he's not going to retire. But at the same exact time, turned away a fight with Gervonta Tank Davis to unify. If he's going to come back in 2025, and his team is speculating as to he may very well be retiring, that he hasn't done it yet and hasn't pulled the trigger on it yet, but that he is entertaining retirement. You know what I mean? What would hold him back from retiring? What makes sense for Vasiliy Lomachenko if he's not going to retire? Why wouldn't he retire? Being that he just walked away from his quote-unquote biggest payday with Gervonta Tank Davis.
Shakur.
Right.
He wants to fight with Shakur.
Oh, you believe he wants to fight with Shakur?
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Especially after that. I think Turkey. I'm telling you, I think Turkey wants to facilitate this fight. I think he wants to issue this fight with Shakur and Devin, especially happening at the Bud event in LA. How these guys got to pushing and shoving and had to be separated. Says a lot. And I think with Loma creeping up in years and him wanting to be the walk away with the opportunity to fight somebody of equal leverage and someone that he wouldn't mind fighting, that's been through the same stages as himself and Tank Davis, going from 126 all the way up to 135, and they're all meeting in the same space. I think it says something. I think he does want to fight with Tank. I think he was initiating, but I just don't think with the offers coming back to him was what he wanted and was willing to entertain. And I think Shakur brought a better value on the back of Turki Al-Sheikh. Now, being that they just set up a deal with Top Rank. Now, I think if somehow, some way, if they could facilitate that deal to PBC for Tank Davis, he'll take the Tank fight. But I think it's one big payday and he's going. I think he just wants one more big payday, one big, as you would say, run around the block, before he calls it quits. And I think that's just a guy that just, he feels honorable with fighting. I know he wants to fight Tank. The last time we heard about him at Tank, he walked away. So how really bad does he want to fight Tank? And then we see him, like I said, the next week after he said he wasn't going to fight, shoving Shakur back and forth in Terrence Crawford event.
At the Los Angeles.
Right. So
I can't remember what it's called, but yeah.
I think the Shakur T-shirt was so disrespectful. He took that to another level. So I think it's Shakur. This is what he wants, and I think that's why you're seeing the Keyshawn train moving towards Gervonta Davis.
Right. I agree. I do think it's Shakur. I think Shakur is what makes sense. And it's based on the business. And as far as people wondering what's going on with Tank, for me, it's obvious for me, right? But I don't know it to be fact. So I know people, want to hold you. If you don't know, why say it? But I think clearly I tell people all the time, there's a reason why you fight Tank Davis. If Tank Davis isn't your biggest payday, Tank Davis is Boots Ennis. I keep telling y'all. If Tank Davis is not your biggest payday, he's Boots Ennis. And what do I mean by that? I mean, he's a high risk, low reward situation, right? If you're fighting Tank Davis and you're not getting your biggest payday, you're risking getting knocked out by somebody who has one of the most explosive styles in the game with a super high 90, damn near 80+% knockout ratio. You're risking getting put to sleep, your whole career being derailed by fighting somebody like Tank Davis. If your payday is not aligning with that, there's no reason to fight him, right? And
Right.
if Vasiliy Lomachenko is sitting across from a table from Tank Davis, and I want you guys to kind of picture this. If he's sitting across the table from Tank Davis negotiating a fight, and that fight is not his biggest payday, what other reason does he have to fight Tank? The legacy is not needed. He's already a acclimated legacy. He's already been a unified champion. He's already respected amongst his peers. He's probably going to go into the Hall of Fame as soon as he retires on the first ballot. Probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? Legacy is not what he's looking across the table to Tank Davis to have. He's looking across from Tank Davis on making the biggest fight possible. If the money's not there, he's not going to be interested in doing that. Now, when you think about the money being made, everybody knows at this point it's got to be agreed upon across the board that the money in boxing is aligned with Turki Al-Sheikh and what's going on in Riyadh season. Shakur Stevenson having access and having the backing of Turkey to make the biggest fights. If Vasiliy Lomachenko is going to be involved in a fight and his concern is it on his payday, and not to mention as well as legacy for unifying against Shakur Stevenson, a generational talent, then that makes the most sense. Him fighting on with Dennis Baranchenko with Bob Arum there's no money in it. Even though he's with Top Rank, there's no money in it. That's just a fight just to unify. Why make that fight happen? There's no money in it. He might as well retire. And if we're talking about somebody who's on the edge of retiring, we're talking about somebody who's considering retiring, then we know that legacy is not going to be enough for him. It's about making money. Most fighters on their way out the door are looking for their biggest paydays. Look at Terrence Crawford, a legacy fighter who's at the end of his career and only looking at being involved in the biggest paydays possible. That just is what it is. So I gotta agree with my co-host here, Ray. It's definitely going to be Shakur Stevenson that I think would happen. Let me bring in this super chat right here. Swift 718, man. I appreciate you so much for supporting the channel today, King. I really do appreciate you, man. Thank you, King. Sugar Ray and Cassius Claymore. Oh, look at that, bro. He gave us nicknames, bro. Sugar Ray and Cassius Claymore. That's crazy. Just the 1-2 punch that the lunchtime boxing conversation space needs. Much love, men. Keep up the great work, man. Thank you, man. Salute, bro. What do you think about the nickname? What do you think about the nickname, Ray?
Sugar Ray and
Cassius Claymore. I don't know, bro.
I might have to switch my name up on my.
I never even thought. Cassius Clay's been getting kind of pushed around a little bit. I've frequently said it from time to time, but Sugar Ray is, and you know, Sugar Ray's there, right? Everybody knows Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard.
You know, that's my favorite fighter, right?
I know, bro. I think he's over there in the background somewhere over there too. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Appreciate you, Swift. Thank you, man. Thank you. But yeah, Vasiliy Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson. But let me ask you this question. If he's not going to fight them, those guys, Cassius Clay, that's what Fire says. Exactly. Cash App is always open, COE Films. Yeah, the Cash App's right there at the bottom of the screen. No, it's not. I got to pin it. I was supposed to do it and I didn't do it. I'm messing up. Hold on. Man. Ray, do me a favor. Just hold it down for a second. Let me figure that out quick. Get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, if we're going to talk about the retirement situation, as that goes, I mean, if he hangs it up, I mean, it is what it is. We just have to look at it for another great boxer, a person that accomplished a lot in his career, even though he doesn't have over 25 fights or whatever. I think he's under 20. As a successful fighter, he is who they said he was. I mean, he came in with 2 fights. Everyone was upset that he got in his second fight that he got an opportunity at a championship. Bob's been pushing for him. He's been ranked number 1 at times for pound. In battle with Terrence Crawford, a stablemate at one point, back and forth. He's been electrifying his whole career, believe it or not, especially at 126 and 130. I mean, yeah, of course, we want to see him fight the best also, you know what I mean? But I think, you know, when you get to a certain age where he's almost 40, he's a few years away from 40, sometimes you want to hang it up, you know? Sometimes you don't want to deal with the long days of training and world work and punching the gym. I'm pretty sure he'll go into a different platform. He'll probably go into some type of training, maybe for his country, or maybe he'll do something here in the States and open up a gym, the Viper Gym maybe, and we'll see how that works out. Either way, I don't think he's going to walk away totally from boxing. He seems to be a face of this generation of boxing. We just have to see where it goes. But yes, you're right. Who has a similar style to Loma? It's funny to say that. The guy that Keyshawn's about to fight, Denise Barancek, Very similar. Very Matrix like. There's also Manny Pacquiao, had a similar style. We have who else is similar to that? You got very Matrix like. Let me see. Quite a few people. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, which I wasn't even expecting that question. So, but there's quite a few people. Yeah, absolutely. Clay, you got a new Cash App too. By the way. So yeah, absolutely. We have to look at the points of who not who has a style like Loma. What did Loma bring to the table? Even Tiafimo has a little Matrix slickness to him. You know what I mean? He doesn't really utilize a jab. He likes to throw off at angles. A lot of these fighters are doing that, you know. But I give credence to Pernell Whitaker for that more than Lomachenko. But the footwork, I think, with Lomachenko was, I don't know. Wow, I ain't gonna say that. I don't know, because what's the name was able to stand still, but he did have good footwork because Pernell Whitaker too. Wow. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not going to make that comparison, but if you're going to compare anybody, I think from shooting at angles and able to move around, turn their opponent.
All right, I figured it out. Sorry, I figured it out.
Good.
I pinned it in the chat. I had to learn.
Appreciate it. Always interrupt my good conversation. The crowd was, please listen.
I got excited.
They're disappointed now.
Go ahead, my bad.
No, it's okay. No,
I figured it out, and I wanted to share, and I wanted to be celebrated. I wanted to be celebrated and validated for figuring it out and getting pat on my head. You know what I mean? I'm thirsty for attention. I ain't gonna lie. That's all that was. 100%, bro. Let me go ahead and hit this super chat right here. Oh no, we already did that, right? We already did that.
Yeah.
Oh no, you said there was a Cash App. Right. Let me see here. Okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. New device. Log in. Hold on a second. I don't know. I didn't get nothing.
Oh, okay. I thought he said he sent the Cash App.
No, I ain't get. There's nothing here. There's nothing here.
Maybe I read it.
It is what it is.
Always open. Oh, always open at COE Films. Oh, okay. Got you. No, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. That was Mrs. Rain dropping that, and she goes, "I sent something." Yeah, he said, "I sent something to the Cash App."
Oh, it hasn't hit yet. To the ATP Combat Media? Let me open it again.
Maybe it went directly to you. Private Cash App.
No, I don't got a private Cash App.
Oh, well, there's another Claymore reading out there.
Oh, nice. I got you right here. You're right.
Oh, that was me. I had
I got the COE $5, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, bro. I'm an idiot, bro. When it comes to technology, I'm not gonna lie to you. Trash, bro. Like I'm figuring, you saw how long it took me to probably figure out something that was simple just to pin something up in there, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the love. My bad, bro. My bad, Joey. My bad. I appreciate you, King. King.
If you see what I did, Clay, I was like, maybe it's another Claymore reading out there.
It is what it is. It is what it is, man. But I wanted to expand on Vasiliy Lomachenko on the other part of the conversation was if he is retiring, right? If he's not going to make this fight happen with Shakur Stevenson, I'm be honest with you. I think that fight is going to get made, though. I can really see that fight being made. But if it doesn't happen, if he decides to walk away from the sport, then he's going to be vacating that IBF title, clearly. Mm-hmm. If he's not going to do it, I would appreciate if he retires. If he's going to retire, I want him to retire as soon as possible. I want 135 has an opportunity to pick up, right?
Yep.
We need all the champions to be available and willing to compete against each other so that they can unify and heading to an undisputed. So if he's not going to do that, I guess we're anticipating the number 1, number 2 spot, which is what Raymond Moratala and if I'm correct, Abdullah. What's his name?
Oh, the updates are Abdullah and Keyshawn Davis. Raymond Moratala took a step back. Weirdly enough.
No, well, he did take a step back, but Keyshawn is already going towards the WBO on February 14th. Right.
So here's what I think happens. Does the IBF bring Abdullah to Shakur Stevenson?
No. I think what's going to happen, I'm telling you, I'm be 100 with you that I kind of have inside information already a little bit. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of cheating a little bit to know that that's what
I
the conversation is Abdulaev versus Raymond Moritala for a vacating IBF for a vacated IBF title.
I know. I gotta spice it up. You gotta
Right.
I know this.
No, you know what I'm saying? So more than likely, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be Zara Abdulaev and Raymond Moritala more than likely fighting for that vacating IBF title. And then at that point, we've got a bunch of active champions. Gervonta Tank Davis kind of has to, you know what I mean? He kind of has to get in where he fits in. If he's going to retire at the end of the year. He vacates. If he's going to unify, find one of these champions. Obviously, Shakur Stevenson being the ideal candidate that everybody wants to see him fight against, or if Keyshawn Davis picks up that title off of Dennis Berinchyk when he fight him obviously for that title. You know what I mean?
Gervonta call out Andy Cruz. He's in it. He's number 4 right now.
I don't even want to start complaining. Because if I do, it's going to look like I'm hating. I don't want to do it because I'm going to complain. I'm going to complain. If he calls out Andy Cruz, I'm going to complain, bro. I'm not going to lie.
Not a bad fight. He's ranked number 4. You guys wanted him to call the guy in the top in his sanctioned body that's in the top. He doesn't really need to fight Edwin De Los Santos, right? Or does he? Brother, that's the only guy above Andy Cruz. Let's talk about it. See, we're being picky. We wanted him to call somebody out in the sanctioned body, but you wanted him to fight a champion. I know what it is. I know. I'm gonna slow my roll.
I don't want to talk about it.
Of course, we don't want him to do that. Thank you. There you go. Go ahead, Bubs.
I don't want to do it. I'm not entertaining it. I don't want to do it, bro. I mean, if he does it, he does it. Will I watch it? Of course I am, because I'm a dumbass for boxing. I'm gonna watch any fight. If it's a fight, I'm gonna watch it. But don't make me start complaining about something that doesn't even exist. I get enough flack from Tank fans who think I hate on everything he does. Don't put me in this position, please. You know what I'm saying? Don't put me in this position. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But Vasiliy Lomachenko to retire or not to retire, that's a question. And we've spoken on it. It's Shakur Stevenson. If it's going to be anybody, that's what makes sense to me. I mean, obviously, Tank is, if they can get the money together and if the PBC can get their business together and they can make a legitimate offer that can entice Vasiliy Lomachenko, that's a huge fight as well. But time will tell that story. Shakur Stevenson, while we're in the 135-pound conversation, the lightweight conversation, Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis, please come to the front of the ATP combat community. Let's talk, guys. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean?
I'm ready now.
Let's talk about this, right? So Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis in the same division. Brothers, supposedly. However they want to look at it. They're super close. They say they'll never fight each other, Ray. They say they'll never fight each other because of how close they are and the relationship they have. Well, right now, we're running into a situation where it looks like these guys are on a course to collide with each other. And for all intent and purposes, seem like they're basically letting us know that the division will stay frozen if it's up to them because they'll never unify. They'll never fight each other. If Keyshawn Davis actually wins this fight against Dennis Berinchyk, which I would have to believe he's favored to do, him not fighting Shakur Stevenson, first of all, where do you stand on this topic? How do you feel about this? Like, are you into this? Are you into the brothers not fighting the brothers? And how do you feel about it?
No. I'll tell you why. If we're going to break bread, we break bread together, right?
Right.
Whether we go into business with each other, which would be going to business with each other, or we're just, finding some way to make money on opposite sides of the street and bringing it together in one pot. So that's, at the end of the day, it turns out to be the same thing, right? No matter how you look at it. Whether we put our money together and go buy something and invest, or we invest in something separately and merge at the end. Either way, we got to come together. This is the point where you start seeing you question the sport of boxing. All these guys are gentlemen. At the end of the day, yeah, they talk their crap. They do what they got to do to build a fight and whatever the case may be. But when it ultimately comes down to, they all hug and shake hands at the end of the fight. Right. Best man won, right? So there's no real hatred amongst fighters. So what is the difference, unless you're blood brothers like the Charlos and you're twins and you don't want to meet, because and you stay at a different division due to the fact that you're avoiding meeting each other? Because you guys had enough squabbles as kids. You don't need to have them as adults in the ring, for money, for the bag. No, that's where it comes down to. We got to take the advice of Earl Spence, who said, "Oh hell yeah, I'll fight Charlo if we had to fight." Right?
Right.
We got to take him for his word. That's what we need to get out of Shakur and Keyshawn. I think we got it. At one point, we got them both saying they would, and then we got them back on this retreat of, "No, that's my brother." You know what I mean? Like, we used to play Hot Wheels together and the roll around tracks that went up the wall, and we can't do that, man. He bought my mom a daisy one day out the yard. He picked in the garden, and that's got to go out the window, because at the end of the day, even brothers fight, even friends fight. It's just a disagreement, right? But this is an opportunity for you guys both to make a bag and to all ultimately become something, to make a trilogy, to make more money on top of this because of the type of fight it is. It's either that or get out the way of each other. I don't want to have it either way. If you're going to stay in the same division, you need to merge these belts, or you need to get in each other's way. And that's it. End of story. I have nothing else to say on it.
Competitive sport, man. It's a sport. It's competition. Yes, you don't play boxing. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, you guys got into the hurt business. I got to co-sign everything that my co-host is saying right now, man. It does get under my skin a little bit. And for me, it's coming down to something very simple. If this is something that you're serious about, and this is your stance on it, then I'm gonna look at the Charlo brothers and the way they carried it. Somebody got to leave the division. The division has to be free to move. It has to be free to move on and elevate and push unifications, and ultimately Undisputed has to always be in the conversation in every single division, as far as I'm concerned. As fans, we're always going to be pushing for this. If you're not going to fight each other, somebody's got to move. Now, to me, the obvious choice for the move up to 140, if there's going to be one, should be Shakur Stevenson, just off the strength of the fact that he's over there with Turki Al-Sheikh and Eddie Hearn. The opportunities for him to make money are there. 140 is wide open for Shakur Stevenson to get involved in. You've got Devin Haney over there. You've got Tiafimo over there. You got Rio Venezuela over there. You got a lot of opportunities. Gary Antoine Russell. You got big fights that can be made at 140, and you can make your money, and you don't hold up a division. So at the end of the day, a decision has to be made. Now, I know Shakur Stevenson's fighting against Floyd Schofield. He's getting about $5-6 million guaranteed to make that fight. Happen. And then you're looking at his fight with William Zepeda. To both of them title defenses, not even unifications, right? After that fight, what's supposed to be on the table that people want to see is him against Gervonta Tank Davis. Well, you guys know how Gervonta clearly feels about that fight. It's not very promising right now. And rumors in the street is that Keyshawn Davis his team may be in communication with Tank's team about potentially making a fight. That's the rumors in the street. So definitely no rumors about Shakur negotiating to make any fights. If you're not going to fight Keyshawn Davis, the only solution is to leave. Move on. Go to 140. But if you guys are both going to stay inside that division as champions in the same division and refuse to fight each other, that's going to be diabolical. That's going to be diabolical. I'm not a good look for the sport, and really going to kind of fuel the whole idea of boxers being friends with each other. You know what I mean? Don't be friends with each other if you can't take what comes with it, which is that you guys eventually might have to be in the ring in front of each other. Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford made the fight happen. Terrence Crawford supposedly stopped Sean Porter, right? As the towel was thrown in. I believe Terrence Crawford was on Sean Porter's podcast like 2 weeks later. Like a week or two later, was on the podcast. They were building, laughing it up, having a great time, talking about how the fight was, celebrating that they both made a big bag of money. And, obviously we know that Sean Porter retired after that fight and wished Terrence Crawford all the luck in the world to be the best fighter in the world, to be a pound for pound great. Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis is exposing their age to a degree, the lack of maturity, right? And if it's really that deep to where they don't want to fight each other and they don't want to risk their friendship being taken away, then make a mature decision. And when you guys bounce and head up to the next level and get out the way of the damn division, and ultimately out the way out of your brother as well. Get out the way of your brother from his legacy as well. However you want to look at it. You know what I mean?
You gonna go up there and fight his brother? His brother up there, ain't he?
Who?
Isn't one of them at 140? Or he at 147?
Are you talking about Keyshawn?
Keon.
Yeah, Keon is at 147. What's his name? Keon's at 147, and Kelvin is at 140. I think he may be at 140 as well.
And they all grew up together. So again, you're gonna have the same problem come about. Come on, it doesn't make sense. Just get it over with, man. Just go in there, fight each other. You ain't friends at the end of the day. Tell Jared Anderson to send a bottle of alcohol over at the pool and just say sign the contract. We'll be all right.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? But those are the topics of discussion. We hit on the topics, and I am going to put the link out there. We can go over whatever we were talking about, whatever you guys had opinions on. Move it in that direction. Decent little show today, right? We talked about some things.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of support, a lot of call in the chat. Appreciate you guys for supporting the channel for real, man. There's the link, by the way. I know Echo is in the building. I'm not sure if Coach Eddie's in the building. If the usual suspects are in the building, too, Rich. If you guys are in the building, come up and build on some of these topics. It is what it is, right? I gotta watch this Bob Arum interview, though, man. I got it pulled up right here.
I was trying to listen. I couldn't hear it. I'm sorry. I was too focused on the conversation at hand. So I was like, I'll just wait till later. Thank you for that information too, by the way, because I didn't catch that. I work overnight, so I don't get around to catching up on these things till about noon, which is now on the off day of the channel. So if not that, then after 2 or 3 o'clock. So thank you. Appreciate that, man, on that information.
Yeah, no doubt. I see people talking about Shakur Stevenson going to 140. I think he'll be very competitive at 140. I think that's a great division for him to be in. What do you think about him at 140? You think it's crazy?
No. I think I already told you. Keyshawn, excuse me, again. Can't say the word tired and talk. Sorry, it happens. Now we back to normal. I think Shakur has always been a larger fighter at the divisions he's been at. He's always put on more weight, walking around closer to a bigger size than we really thought he was. He's young. He gets in shape. He gets in shape for these fights, and he gets back down to his gaming weight. We know that he can fight at hit that Zay yesterday. I just work, man. I be working like a dog, man. Unfortunately, I got to get that paper. I own a house, man. I got 2 kids and a wife. Got to make sure they're taken care of. You know what I mean? And I got needs too. You know what I mean? I don't buy expensive clothes. This was given to me, by the way. No, it wasn't. I bought it. Anyway. But on a serious note. I think Shakur moving to 140 would be great. He can easily make 147 the way he is right now. Keyshawn as well. They can both move up easily, but I think that they're going to stay. If they do stay away from each other, one moves up. Whoever it is, just compete at the 140 division. I think that will be fine. But I don't know, Clay. What's your take on it?
I think he does great at 140. I think his legacy is at 140. I think that's where that's where it's at. I think I think Shakur Stevenson is in a David Benavidez situation. You know, when I think about it, Canelo Alvarez and David had to accept the fact that David Benavidez David Benavidez had to accept the fact that Canelo just wasn't going to happen, and he had to make a decision. He had to move on. I think the only thing holding Shakur Stevenson, who happens to hold the WBC title as well, right? The only thing holding Shakur Stevenson back at 135 seems to be Tank Davis.
Right.
And I mean, obviously there's unifications and things like of that nature to be made. But listen, when he signed over to Matchroom, he had to take into consideration that if this Tank Davis fight was going to be an issue, that he had to start taking into consideration as to using the resources that Eddie Hearn has available, right? So if you sign to Eddie Hearn, he didn't sign over to Eddie Hearn to make a Tank Davis fight. He knew that Eddie Hearn was going to even be part of that negotiation, right? With the infamous instruction to Eddie Hearn saying not to reach out to Tank Davis. So what was he going to do with Eddie Hearn? The best fight that Eddie Hearn was able to put together for Shakur Stevenson was Joe Cordina, right? Who the whole space was like, what in the hell? He doesn't have 135-pound fighters. He doesn't have a lot of 135-pound fighters to pick from. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Eddie spoke to it a little bit. He alluded to the fact that, you know, there are fighters at 140 that he can put together with Shakur Stevenson. And Shakur also said in interviews that he'd be willing to go to 140 if he had to. So you have to think to yourself, if the Tank Davis fight is not going to get made and if he's going to renew an agreement to work with Eddie Hearn, because let's keep in mind that he comes to the end of his agreement with Eddie Hearn at the Williams and Ada fight. They're going to return back to the table to negotiate.
That's not true.
What? What's not true?
If Eddie didn't want to fight with Tank because of Shakur losing,
yeah, let's not get distracted.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Just because he said something about the July.
Bro, let's not get distracted, bro.
That wasn't even what everybody made it out to be.
Yeah.
What he's saying is this guy's a fighter, and he puts his money in and invests. And I'm sorry to call it a topic. He puts his money involved in his fighters, expecting them to win. If they don't win, they have to go back to the drawing board. That's what he said. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm going to throw him out the window, and we're never going to have this fight again." He said, "We have to just go back to the drawing board. And we have to do it again. This is your job to go win the fight, not mine." And that's what he's talking about. Doesn't matter who it is. All promoters have fighters that lose. It is what it is. That's what boxing's about. It's a sport. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But
yeah, damn the distraction, right? So as I was saying, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Shakur Stevenson being with Eddie Hearn, coming full circle to the end of his contract and his agreement, with Eddie Hearn, if he's going to revisit getting back with Matchroom and extending that contract, then he has to be on the same page as Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn is the type of person, you see what he's doing, Jerron. He's going to do the same thing with Shakur. I'm going to push you to where I have fighters for you to fight. And Eddie Hearn is able to facilitate a lot more fights at 140 for Shakur Stevenson, as well as bigger paydays for Shakur Stevenson. There's really no reason for him to be there at 135 unless that Tank Davis fight is going to come full circle, especially when you compound it with the fact that Keyshawn Davis is about to pick up a title in the same division. And he's saying he's not going to fight Keyshawn. So he's not going to unify with Keyshawn at 135. Maybe Vasiliy Lomachenko might be a fight that's there to be made, but that would definitely be one of the last. At some point, I have to anticipate him going to 140. I have to anticipate the fact and the idea that he's already been aware of going to 140, and I think he competes up there at the highest level. I think he becomes a champion up there, and he can pursue undisputed. He has big fights he can pursue up there. Devin Haney's a big fight right next to damn near Tank Davis as far as a fight that the people wanted to see. They just don't know they want to see it yet because it hasn't been getting pushed out there. But they have a big history as far as we know, growing up together in the sport, how they almost made a fight at 135 but didn't because Devin moved forward. You've got Tiafimo over there. They've shared words about fighting each other. Tiafimo saying he doesn't want Shakur jumping off the roof, being stressed out from taking a loss. You've got Rayo Venezuela there. You've got Gary Antoine Russell there. You got Liam Paro there. You got Hitchinson there, who's a friend of Shakur. I wonder if they would fight each other if he tries to play that Keyshawn Davis situation. But you got a lot of fights and a lot of opportunities for Shakur at 140. Keyshawn could maybe do the same thing, but it seems like Keyshawn has more of a bigger future at 135. Tank seems to be willing to entertain conversations of fighting him there. He can unify. He can become undisputed. He's over there with Top Rank, so he can get a fight with Vasiliy Lomachenko, or if it's going to be Raymond, Moratala and Abdul, I can't remember his damn name right now, Zaro or whatever his name is, to get a shot at unifying there as well. So it makes no sense for him to leave. And like you said, Ray, his brother Kelvin I think is up there at 140. So why would he go up there at 140 and get in a division with his brother? It is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Let's bring in Echo into the building. Echo,
how's everything, guys? How are you doing?
Man, doing good, man. Doing good. We didn't see you yesterday, man. Everything okay? You good?
Good, Echo. Good.
Yeah, I just got back from the gym. It's freezing today. It is.
It's freezing, huh?
Yeah, I just walked in, really. But yeah, how's everything? Good.
Everything is great, man. Everything is great. We're going into the weekend. We're going into fight weekend. We didn't even talk about it. Me and Ray didn't even really talk about it. But yeah, man, one of the biggest fights, right? One of the biggest fights of the year, rematch of the year coming up. Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. Did you get a chance to catch the grand rivals yesterday?
I did do, yeah. I did, yeah.
Did you pick up anything?
Fury just looks like he's trying to get his mojo back. To be honest, I think he's trying to talk himself into that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last time he didn't have that.
Do you think that this whole entire staying away from his family from 3 months, not talking to his wife for 3 months or his kids, and that beard that he has, and just kind of looking like he went like hermit nomad type of situation to focus on nothing but Alexander Usyk? Does this benefit him in any real way? Like, is this something like, did this work out for him? Like, is he going to be a better fighter because of this, in your opinion? Or like, what do you stand on all that?
Well, I'm a big believer in that when people do certain things and they change because they're not happy. Because obviously, if you, it's like Sugar Ray Leonard. He used to put a picture of his girlfriend in his sock, and I guarantee you that if he fought without that, he wouldn't have fought as well.
Right, because it's in his mind, right?
Yeah, because people get used to habits and everything else. It's a bit like having your favorite jersey if you're a football player or whatever, or your favorite number, and people are creatures of habit.
No doubt, no doubt.
And also, if you look at sometimes with Fury, he's very unpredictable. He is with what he does.
Right.
Sometimes he's quite vocal, sometimes he's very solemn. So he's got a mixed bag. So it's very difficult to get a read on him, really. But you've only got to look at the fights with Wilder and look at the fight with Usyk, the build-ups and everything else. They're different.
100%, 100%. I think there's definitely a lot more respect.
But he can't get into Usyk's head, Clay. He can't get into Usyk's head. He's not.
He can't.
He won't. No, he won't be able to do that.
No, he definitely can't, and I wonder how much. And I think Usyk understands that leverage that he has on Tyson Fury. He understood even in the first presser that he understood, like, I know your game, like I know what you're trying to do, and I'm gonna tell you right now that doesn't work with me because I'm not insecure in anything about what I bring to the table. You're not tapping into some insecurity that I have in my mind and bringing it to the light and making. I don't believe none of that. I truly believe I'm the best in the world. I truly believe that you're just another opponent for me, maybe a big opponent and all those things, but I know I'm going to be, that I have all the skills to be successful. And on top of that, coming off of that win he had and becoming undisputed, he has to be even more confident going into this fight. Now, what do you think about Tyson Fury's idea of as far as knocking Usyk out and his game plan? Is that revealing at all to what you're expecting from Tyson Fury going to this fight? As far as is he going to be this offensive machine using his size, leaning on Usyk, being the predator in the ring? Do you think that's what's going to happen based off what he's saying, or do you just take it with a grain of salt?
Well, according to Tyson Fury, I watched an interview where he said he was going to weigh 21 stone.
Right.
So we're talking what, 280, 19, say like 19, what is it, like 295?
I could pull up the converter right here.
Yeah, about two. Yes, it's 294.
Okay. But he's not.
Exactly.
He clearly is not that. When you saw him yesterday at the Grand Rivals, he's clearly probably sitting at about 270, 265, 270, right? Like, what do you think he looked like he weighed?
Probably 275, 273, probably about 19 stone.
Right, exactly. So are you saying that to say that he kind of threw a bluff at us and that maybe we should anticipate a bluff the way he approaches the fight as well?
He just says what he wants. He just says what comes into his head. I don't think he gives it much thought because he doesn't really care what you think, to be honest, or anybody thinks.
Right. A chip on his shoulder. You think there's a chip on the shoulder a little bit? I mean, I don't know, man. Yeah. I hear what you're saying because I've entertained that as well, but also, he came back from the Deontay Wilder draw that he had with Deontay Wilder, and he seemed adamant about knocking out Deontay Wilder, understanding that. And he is a Sugar Hill fighter now, right? I don't see Sugar Hill working with him in a 3 month, 4 month, 6 month, 8 month, however long the camp has been, probably about 3 month camp, working on finesse and boxing. Sugar Hill has a way of training, right? He has a way that he trains his fighters. So you think taking all that into consideration, is Fury looking to be the predator in the ring, the guy walking down Usyk, putting pressure on him, hitting him with power shots, and ultimately trying to walk him into something that stops him?
He's going to be he's going to put more pressure for sure.
Right.
But by
Right.
putting more pressure on somebody, you walk on stuff yourself. So, and Usyk's a good counterpuncher. Like I was saying to Rasclot, the key to Usyk is to when Fury jabs is to slip and throw the left on the inside and throw the hook on the outside. So he's always on the outside, but to feint on the inside with his head to draw that lead, to draw that jab or that right hand.
Right.
So basically keep going towards his own right, because then he will avoid all the other punches. He'll avoid the left, the uppercut, the right uppercut. He'll avoid all those punches. Well,
No, without a doubt, without a doubt. Salute to 2 Cents in the building with the happy holidays, $2 holla, man. I appreciate you, family. Thank you.
but the thing is, though, Clay, I see this as being Usyk sees this as another challenge, and Tyson sees this as being a problem.
Say one more time. Usyk sees it as a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, another challenge, just another challenge, and to raise the game.
Right.
And Fury sees this as a problem because he's got to solve that problem.
Right. Right. And I agree with you. And it looked like, I watched the fight again a little bit earlier this morning. I actually, I'm not gonna lie, I watched a big highlight, but it was a decent highlight. It was about a 20-minute highlight film on the fight. And I saw that Alexander obviously found a lot of success going to the body, which I thought was the right game plan, right? He was going to hit what was in front of him. He was throwing straight shots to the body. He wasn't trying to reach and out jab him or, put himself in a situation where he's trying to out Fury. He wanted to cut that space, obviously wanted the fight to be mid-range and was attacking what was in front of him, which was the torso, right? The chest, the body.
Yeah.
And he was finding success there. I thought he was finding success because it was helping him find Fury. It was helping him cross the void, right, and close that space. That ended up he'd go like low to the body, like with a straight with a jab, with a right hand jab, and then he'd come over the top with that left hand, trying to set up. He was trying to set up that left hand the whole fight. When he finally caught him, he was working on that from like round one, trying to catch him with that, and he caught him with a couple of left hands. The left hand is one of those shots that is a blindside shot. People don't really see it coming, so it's a disadvantage for Tyson Fury just having to watch out for that, and it started to affect him. But he did find success in it, hurt him real bad, knocking him pillar to post in his last fight. You expect Usyk to kind of like pick up the pace a little bit, whereas we saw him for like the first 2 to 5 rounds, kind of really trying to find the range and trying to process the data. Does he kind of pick up from where he left off in the last fight, or does he start it all over again and once again try to figure Fury out for X amount of rounds before he?
Yeah, he will for 2-3 rounds. He'll feel the fight because he doesn't know what Fury is going to do.
Right.
But I think he'll stay to his right, his own right.
Right.
That way he'll be on this. If you're on the outside of somebody's punches, you're safe, because if I slip your jab, and I'm a southpaw on the outside, you've got to come back with the right hand or the left hand, which is slower, because you've already got to bring it back to throw that again.
100%. I agree.
This is what Pacquiao did to what's his name when he fought him in China. I forgot his name now. But he kept pivoting off to the right anyway, and that's the key. That's the southpaw's style. Go under the left hook and move to the right.
100%. I agree with you, man.
Don't just go under the left hook, but slide to the right so you're away from the punch. You're on the blind side. So when they have to regain their angle, they have to square up to you. If they back off, you just repeat. If they back off towards their own right, then they're opening up for your left again.
Right, they open the lane. It's like a lane opens right up for that. And I think Usyk did that last time a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of like adjusted, and that's what he began doing back to back to back. And it ultimately ended up paying off when he clipped him, right, and hurt him. But Tyson Fury being aggressive, in this fight is going to be interesting, right? Because it also, I remember in the last fight, the clinching wasn't necessarily there for Tyson Fury the way he liked to clinch. The couple of times he attempted to clinch Usyk, I noticed that Usyk really kept his shoulders in really tight, and it made it hard for Tyson to do that thing he does where he kind of like leans on you, then hooks your arms up. You know what I'm saying? It kind of grabs you up. It's like
overhooks, yeah.
Right. It's like he really, because Tyson, if he's going to clinch you, that's how he's going to do it. He's too tall to be trying to get up under your arms and grab you. So he's going to come over the top and try to grab you. Usyk seemed to have a game plan for that, right? Like, I'm going to keep my one thing Usyk did was keep his hands up in that fight. But what was opening for Usyk a lot in that fight was that uppercut, right? And the body obviously campaign that Tyson Fury started to open up in towards the middle to the end of that when he's found a lot of his success was the ability to hit him in the body, which opened up Usyk a little bit and opened him up to these uppercuts. What does Usyk do to adjust to that situation?
Move to the right, stay to the right, away from the right hand. That's it. Simple.
Right. That's the best thing to do.
That will mean that Tyson has to re-angle.
Right.
Every time. See, the thing is, if you draw the lead and then you move to a certain point, they're playing catch up. They're always playing catch up.
Right.
How easy is it to hit something that's still? It's very easy, but when because remember, you're going to aim a punch where you last see the head or the body.
Right.
And that's think of it like American football. You don't throw the ball where he is. You throw the ball where he'll run to and catch it.
100%. 100%.
This is why I believe that if Usyk uses the head feints on the inside to draw the lead and go on the outside, he'll be a lot safer.
No doubt. I agree with you.
Because if I'm on the inside, which is lined up with your chest, with your center line, you're going to throw the punch.
100%.
If I'm on the outside of your shoulder, or maybe your left jab, you've got to regain the angle. Think of it like a torch. If I'm shining a torch on you, and I move over this side, and I'm over this angle like that, now I'm shining the torch on you, but you're not shining your torch on me, the center line. So if I'm throwing a punch through my center line, I'm going to have more power.
Right.
Usyk will have more power if he throws his punch through the center line if he slides to the right.
Right.
100%.
So what happens if Fury does not go for the head feints and he attacks the body of Usyk, which we know to be a weak source of Usyk's defense?
Say that again, Ray. I didn't hear that. It's properly.
I said, what happens if Fury does not go for the head feints as much and he attacks the body? Being that he's not going to chase the head, he's going to attack the body to keep knowing that that's Usyk's weakest part of his defense. What happens if that's his strategy to attack the body at this point?
Right. The problem is Tyson's so tall. Body shots are only good really when the other person is standing still.
Exactly.
And also the level change of a body shot is when your shoulder's level with the target. You watch Sugar Ray Leonard or Mayweather or any great person that was a body puncher, right? Especially when they were throwing right hands and jabs, they always had their shoulder hit up and their shoulder was level with the punch. Tyson can't do that against Usyk. He's too tall.
Yeah.
This is why you didn't see Lennox Lewis bobbing and weaving. He didn't bob and weave much.
Right.
People, tall boxers don't bob and weave. They don't level change that much.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as that body campaign, because Tyson Fury had to find the way Alexander Usyk had to find Tyson Fury's head because of how tall he was. You saw Tyson Fury going through the same mission to find Alexander Usyk's body. He had to get the right position because he had to kind of like slingshot it a little bit, feint him into certain situations, and on the way out, use his long arms to kind of like catch him with these body shots. But ultimately, like middle to the end of the fight, you start, about the middle rounds, Tyson Fury found it. He found the body. Like he started to become very effective at the body and started to actually hurt Usyk, in my opinion. And then ultimately that opened up all these uppercuts where Usyk was kind of coming in, kind of like trying to get low, and running into these uppercuts, right? Like trying to get in and use the Mike Tyson thing where he's like, I'm going to get low and make you punch down. reach for me,
But,
extend for me so that I can counter punch you with this left hand and have you walk into it. Go ahead.
but he needs to do that to the right, not when he's in the center.
Right.
And when he backs off, he's got a level change, because if you level, it's like you see somebody, they'll duck a hook and they'll step back, but they'll step back on the same line.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't go down on a U. So they go under the punch and they'll go down, then they'll come up. You don't go down, then up, then back.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? You go down on a U.
Right.
So you've only got to watch the way Roger Mayweather used to train people on the pads. He'd do that punch like that, and the guy would go back and he'd go back on a U.
Right.
All great boxers will do that.
Right.
They won't just go up and down like this.
Exactly. So, right.
Yeah. And
exactly.
when you go in for the clinch, you go down on a V. You don't just go in and grab somebody when you're hurt. You go down on a V.
Right.
And go up. So you go down on the V and go up on the V, and then do the clinch.
Yeah, you pop up on them. You don't just walk up to them. You kind of like get low and pop up on them and grab them. Make them have to deal with that.
And that's why you'll see a lot of boxers get headbutted, because they try to match it.
Exactly. That's why Katie Taylor, your girl, was up in there throwing headbutting Amanda Serrano to death, because she was doing that consistently. She would get down, do the V thing, and try to run up and clinch Amanda, and then end up headbutting her in the midst of trying to do that.
Going down on the V, coming up on the V. What Amanda should have done is just turn the shoulder into the head to avoid it.
Right.
So imagine she's throwing a punch, basically.
100%. She was too caught up on being offensive on that campaign, and it would just she was open to it.
If you watch the fight, most of the time she was punching, and her head wasn't moving much.
Right.
Amanda Serrano was just like rock and sock 'em kind of thing.
Right.
Exactly.
She wanted to win that fight.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I saw the fight again. I watched it.
Yeah, it was not defensively
responsible
at all.
Yeah, and
I think she won the fight. I really believe she won the fight.
Yeah, I think so. But I thought that she wasn't defensively targeted. She was just there to overwhelm Katie Taylor and try to. She believed that the first fight was worse. Was took it from her, so she was just trying to be an offensive onslaught. That's what it was.
Yeah, and Katie was really trying to like control her, right? Like when she see those hands flying, she was like, "I'm gonna grab her to control this chaos, this mayhem in the midst of constantly trying to like, let me get a hold of this girl." She's really just like flailing to a degree, dare I say, but she was being accurate, but still like it's like I need you to like kind of sit still a little bit, slow it down, and it ended up being a headbutt campaign for a majority of 10 rounds that ended up unfortunately looking the way it did. But it is what it is. But I do think that this fight is going to be interesting, because I look forward to seeing both these guys, Fury and Alexander Usyk, making these adjustments, right? And we know that they can, right? We know the ability to make the adjustments are there. And if you're a real boxing fan, you're going to get an opportunity to see like real science. Like these guys have 12 rounds of data with each other, of experience with each other, to go back and be like, all right, man, it's one thing to like watch a video and plan on fighting this phenom, but it's another thing to have the 12 rounds of experience to go back and watch a video of your actual fight. You know what I'm saying? With this guy, like, all right, so where were we successful? But at the same time, where were we dropping the ball at? You know what I mean? And this guy's also coming back to make adjustments and beat us. What adjustments are we going to anticipate him making? I think Alexander Usyk's solution to the problem seems to be, we're going to be a little bit more offensive. We're going to keep that pressure on him. We're going to force him to make decisions. And in the forcing him, not letting him be comfortable to make his decisions, but forcing him to make decisions, be able to capitalize on some of the bad decisions, be able to capitalize on the areas where he drops the ball at, and clip him, more importantly, hurt him. I think Alexander Usyk is going to be looking to stop Tyson Fury in this fight. And I think Tyson Fury's game plan, if it's too offensive, might be lining right up with what Alexander Usyk needs Tyson Fury to do in order to give him the opportunity to do that. What do you think about that?
Well, I believe that Usyk, the key to him avoiding the body shots for sure is to stay low and tuck over, because if you're standing straight up and you're leaning away or whatever, you don't take a very good body shot. It's like jabbing. You see people jab and they're standing up straight and they get it with a body shot and they don't throw that jab again for maybe 20, 30 seconds because they're recovering from that body shot, even if it's another jab. You don't take a very good body shot when you're straight up. You've got to tuck over because the object of the abdominals is to shorten the pelvic basin towards the sternum, which tucking over. That's why you crunch your abs when you crunch.
Right. So
they've got to be partially tense when you're throwing shots. They're not completely relaxed. If you're standing straight up like the old trainer, the old commentator, Reg Guthrie used to say people stand up like a weather vane, straight up, straight. They're just going to get knocked down because they're a target.
Right.
They're a bigger target. And also, when you think about the body, you've got foot of body, but inches of chin.
Right.
It's a bigger target. But the thing is, if I go for the body and throw a punch at you and you just block it with your elbow maybe, and your feet are in the same position, I can still throw a shot where you are because you've not moved your feet.
Right.
So the key to body shots as well is not just covering up with your elbows because you don't need to move much. All you need to do is just tuck over a little bit. You only need to bend over a little bit. But when you do that, coupled with a pivot or a footwork pattern, people have to regain their angle again. You've only got to watch Livingston Bramble when he fought Ray Mancini. Ray Mancini was throwing right hooks to the head, and then Bramble would go underneath it, and then Mancini would throw a left hook straight to the body.
Right.
But if you watch somebody like Hector Camacho fight, say, Cornelius Bozer-Edwards, I don't know if you ever watched that fight.
Never.
Oh, my God. Every time Bozer-Edwards would throw a shot, Camacho will be either walk through it, like what Leonard did to Hagler. You know, when Hagler threw that right hand or left hand,
right,
and Leonard will go through like what you call like a pivot straight through, a drop shift, and come out the other side. So basically, go under his arm and come out around the other side.
Exactly.
And that's what Camacho used to do. He did that against Cornelius Bozer-Edwards maybe 15 times in that fight. When you're fighting somebody like that, they're very difficult to hit, just like Whitaker or Willie Pep, any of those guys, Nicolina Loche, they all could do that and things. But most of the boxers today can't do that. Or you see it now and again, but it's not their textbook move.
Right. So you see Usyk taking advantage of, being a little bit more, using that height difference to his advantage, understanding now that Tyson Fury, is limited. He can limit Tyson Fury's tools that he can use just by like you said, stepping off to the right,
Yeah.
staying low and, attacking from that direction of, still coming to the body. You agree with that body campaign though, right? Like coming forward, throwing at the chest, throwing at the body. That seemed to be effective. It did slow Tyson Fury down a little bit towards the end. What did you think about that?
Well, the thing is, if you throw a punch at the chin and you lean back, you can hit the chest.
Right.
So the key to a lot of punches is to throw a follow through and aim right round the nodules around the neck. It's like if I throw a punch like this, I don't know if you can see this, but the punch is going, and I lean. Say this is your chin, and this is where the punch I'm aiming for. But you move back on a straight line. Eventually, I'm going to hit the chin. So you don't aim for the chin, you aim for the nodules on the neck, down here.
Right.
So when they lean back, you do get the chin because it creates the angle for the chin. That's why you'll see Mayweather, the guy will aim for his chin and then it's his shoulder. It's reversed.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense, man. I guess my question still remains though, as far as Alexander Usyk's last approach to the fight, the way he was punching to the body and aiming for the chest. At the end of the day, isn't that the game plan? Isn't that what the game plan should continue to be in this fight? Just a little bit more focus on stepping off to the right, making sure that right foot stays on the outside of
that is the key, yeah. Sure,
right?
for a southpaw.
to stay on the outside of Tyson Fury's left foot and, you know, attacking that body and ultimately trying to line him up for that shot to the head to stop him, right?
Also, Usyk could step to his left and throw the left cross over Tyson's right hand, a bit like what Whittaker did to Greg Haugen. He did that to Greg Haugen, and he dropped him. So that's the kind of technique that would work really well. Feint, when draw the lead, slide to the left, throw the left hand over the right.
Yeah.
But this is a tactical fight.
100%.
More than
it's going to be
anything.
cerebral. It's going to be cerebral because
it's who's got the best strategy, really.
It's going to be cerebral. It's definitely going to be cerebral because Alexander Usyk has this data and he understands, I think, and I saw him figuring it out, right? Now, where he messed up at is he got a little excited, started overcommitting to the game plan, and kind of like his defense kind of went down a little bit as he got excited, and Fury was able to capitalize a lot on that body campaign. Like he opened himself up to getting hit in the body a lot because now he started to reach, kind of over pursue, overcommit, and now he started to pay for it by getting hit in the body and ultimately ended up getting hurt in the body, got caught with an uppercut and had to get himself together. But I do think he can look back at that last fight and be like, yeah, I messed up here. But generally speaking, my strategy wasn't horrible. It was actually very effective. And it's because of my strategy and what we worked on that helped me land that left hand. I don't think Alexander Usyk strays away from his game plan at all. I think he doubles down and just makes sure that he's defensively responsible. And I think if Tyson Fury is going to switch it up, if he's going to switch it up and become more offensive and start chasing or, you know what I mean, headhunting a little bit, that he might just fall into a trap. He might just fall into the trap, man.
Well, I believe that Usyk, you know, I've seen him fight so many times, and he's got really good fundamentals. But like you said, he keeps to his, and he believes in himself as well. That's very important because most of the guys that fought Fury haven't believed in themselves. They didn't believe they could win, and that's, you know, like I was saying to you before about the limiting belief. If you've got a limiting belief where you think you can't win or you think you might not win. You know, what did Henry Ford say? You know, if you think you can, you think you can't, you're probably right.
Yeah, exactly. Now, mentally, right? Who's got the leverage right now, in your opinion? After watching the press conferences, after watching what happened yesterday, the grand arrivals, who seems to be sturdy? It does, right?
Usyk for sure, because he's won. He knows he can do it again.
No doubt.
But the thing is, it depends on how Tyson sees the fight. Because remember, he kind of lied to himself and thought he said he won.
Right.
After the fight. Now, if you watch somebody like Ray would know when Duran fought Leonard in June 20th, 1980, when he lost, he just looked up and smiled. That's all he did. He didn't, and even when he was interviewed, you know, by what was it with Carlos Padilla, he admitted that he lost the fight.
Yeah,
and this is what takes the next level. You go to the next level. You got to be honest with yourself. I lost, and that's it. He was the better man. That's it. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that. And sometimes when people win, they tend, you know, when people win, they party.
Right.
When they lose, they tend to ponder, because remember, they go in there with a strategy and think, well, I've got all the answers. Right. And it doesn't work out. That's why, you know, you can't just have a plan. And look what happened to Nigel Benn when he fought Michael Watson. He thought he was going to knock him out.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting stopped himself.
And then he spoke about that in the interview before, as well as you know, I mean, the depression, like, you know, I mean, it took him a while to kind of get over that situation. Yeah, and I see Tyson Fury checking those boxes. He's somebody who, you know what I mean, in his victory, you know, he seems like in the best space, but, you know what I mean, on the back of a loss, we never seen him on the back of a loss. What does he do? He goes and he runs away somewhere for 3 months. You know what I'm saying? Cuts off his family, cuts off his wife, cuts off his kids. For 3 months, and he just goes into a cave, right? Grows a beard, comes out like this different guy. yeah, man, Tyson Fury is. I noticed that, and I know some people look at it as that means he's dialed in, but dialed into what? He's definitely dialed into something. But is he dialed into this fight as far as confidently knowing what he's going to do, or is he dialed into redemption? Is he still trying to get his lick back? Is he trying to get something back? And does that affect him as far as him becoming somebody who's over pursuing, who's becoming over predatorial inside of the ring, who's not capitalizing on the fundamentals that got him to the big show? He's always been the guy who was light on his feet, who was good, who was able to establish and keep that distance, and was able to take his time and walk people into whatever he wanted to walk them into at the end of the day. But if he becomes this predator in the ring with somebody with such a high IQ and pedigree as Alexander Usyk, this is not Deontay Wilder, right? This is not somebody who. This is somebody who knows how to capitalize off your mistakes, who's thinking about those things, like you said, right? Like, he's going to be stepping off to the right. He's going to be conscious of where his feet is at. He's going to be aware of the mistakes that you're making, and he's very capable of adjusting and taking advantage of those mistakes. Does this, I mean, let's just get right to it, right? Who you got winning this fight, Echo? Who do you got winning this fight based on what you're seeing at this point?
I believe that Usyk's got the upper hand because he's won before. And I think he's going into the fight fully confident. However, this is still a 50-50 fight.
100%. Yeah.
Tyson, I mean, people think, well, yeah, I want Tyson to win because I'm, I live in Britain, and I'm half American, by the way, anyway. So I don't really care who wins, to be honest. I mean, I never care who, Clay, I have no skin in the game. I don't care who wins any fight.
Right. If you pick somebody, you picking them like when you picked Bivol. You picked him based off the fundamentals, off what you saw, off the boxing, and you just like, listen, I'm not going to lie, I'm leaning in this direction. He brings this pedigree, he brings the ability to adjust, and I think that comes up as a victory at the end of it. And arguably, people thought Bivol. A lot of people felt like Bivol won that fight. You probably think Bivol won the fight. It was definitely there to be. An argument is definitely there to say he won.
Subjective either way. Subjective either way.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a close fight.
So many fights have done. So many fights have happened like that in the history. I mean, I can name 100, maybe 200 fights like that could have gone either way. Some fights should never have gone one way. Especially when Whitaker fought Jose Luis Ramirez. There's no way Ramirez won that fight.
Right.
So, but it is what it is. There's always going to be bad decisions.
Yeah.
So
very few robberies, really.
Yeah, especially in competitive fights.
Sometimes just trying to push the guys off the podium of where they are. Create more controversy, see if they're going to stay hungry or not. That's what it comes down to. Sometimes it makes a better fighter out of you, depending on your will.
Yeah,
you get that. I mean, I think the only person in that case, that comes to mind that really kind of had like a falling out from there would be De La Hoya when he fought Tito, and he suffered that loss to Tito. I think that was the only one I think that I seen somebody come back and wasn't the same person. Like, I think he still had that mentality to keep going out there and being the warrior he was, but it didn't seem like he had all his heart and everything dedicated into the next couple of fights that he had. I mean, I think he took like in his next 5 or 6 fights, I think he took like 3 losses or another 2 losses. So it just shows you that his mindset was based on remembering that Cheeto fight, and they should have rematched. They should have rematched that fight. He gave that fight away.
Yeah,
a lot of fights have happened that way. They've not fought in the championship rounds. Really, put it all on the line. Sometimes you got to do that. You just got to swing for the fences, and maybe you might catch the guy. It doesn't matter. If you're losing the fight, you just got to go all out.
Right.
You can't worry about defense anymore. Just try and knock the guy out. If you can't win on points, if you'll be knocked down 4 times,
right,
more than likely you're going to lose the fight unless you knock that guy out.
Right. 100%. 100%. There's only one lane to victory at that point, which is get this stoppage. So you're going to go out on your shield and go for it, or you're going to just try to protect yourself from just not being stopped and ultimately accepting your loss early in the fight, obviously, because you're not winning on the points. So if you're not going to go to stop him and you're trying to protect yourself from getting stopped, then you've accepted the loss ultimately, because you can't win any other way but stopping him. You know what I mean?
That's what happened. That's what happened to Archie Moore when he fought Yvonne Durrell. He got knocked down.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so many times, people thought he was going to lose, and eventually he won the fight.
100%.
But he had to knock the guy out. Sometimes you got to do that to win the fight. Sometimes.
No doubt, no doubt. Plus 40. What do you think about you hear the rumors that, I mean, I don't know if it's rumors at this point. It's just fake news at this point. We know it's not a rumor. It's fake news at this point, right? But as far as Vasiliy Lomachenko on 135, I don't know if you got an opportunity to tap into that part of the conversation. But
I did, yeah.
What do you think about that with Vasiliy Lomachenko and him retiring or staying active, and what does that look like as him active? Just taking into consideration that he did walk away from a Gervonta Tank Davis fight. I mean, he said it was for his family, but at the same time, rumors circulated that it was the actual payday that didn't interest him. It wasn't enough for him.
The thing is, we don't know why, really, because even if he says it was his family, we just don't know.
Right.
Unless we're there to see the negotiation,
Right.
how would we know?
Right.
It could be because he was fighting in a city, Vegas. He didn't want to fight in Vegas. Could have been anything. Could have been the purse. Could have been the size of the glove. Well, I don't know, whatever size of the ring. Could be anything.
Right. So when he returns, if he does return to being an active fighter, do you have any anticipation of how you expect him to move? Being that, I mean, look, here's the facts, right? He already spoke before in the interview saying that he was interested in retiring. That the only reason he was hanging around was to be an undisputed champion because of what his father asked him to do. So he already he already showed you he had a foot out the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the only reason I'm here is because of this. If it wasn't for my father, blah 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 blah. Well, if he's gonna return, and there are rumors. I mean, people in this camp have spoken and spoken to the fact that there's a good chance he could retire. He's actually entertaining this. He's been entertaining it. But if he does stay, why does he stay? And who does he fight? You know what I mean? Like, why would he stay? What would keep him there if he's gonna stay and go against his own gut feeling, which is he's about ready to retire?
To be honest, I think if he did stay, it is because he thinks he can become undisputed. Because I think that's really what his goal was.
Right.
And to be honest, I thought he achieved that when he fought Haney, because I thought he beat Haney. But
a lot of people thought he beat Haney, to be honest with you.
However, it's subjective again, so. But I think he's going to come back. If he does come back, he won't fight anybody. It won't be a touch-up fight. It'll be somebody pretty good or a champion.
Yeah. We were looking at Shakur Stevenson as somebody legitimate just because the payday is definitely there with Turkey. The payday is definitely there, and obviously the unification and legacy is there as well. And you'd figure if he's going to fight Tank, it has to be his biggest payday, and also be a fight that he probably would aim to make that fight last more than first. Tank is the bigger threat, don't you think, or not?
I think Tank's the easier fight.
Wow. Okay. A lot of people say that too. And I can understand why people are saying that. You know what I mean? I really can, because he gives up rounds. And then, and you get him in that situation where he's down. Can he puts himself in a position, like you just said earlier, where he has to stop, who's in front of him. I mean? If he's chasing Vasiliy Lomachenko around and he's aware of that, I ain't gonna lie, man, he might be the easier fight just based off Tank's strategy and how he approaches boxing.
I believe Shakur at his best can beat Tank.
Yeah.
And people say, well, he's going to knock him out.
Is going to be the best boxer. Somebody who's
for sure.
Best boxer is going to be the kryptonite. Is going to be the kryptonite.
Yeah. And the thing is, people say, well, people assume that he's going to knock everybody out. That's not the case.
Right.
Else you would have there's been boxers that have had 32-0, like, a lot of boxers have done that, and then they've lost the next fight by knockout. This is what happens in boxing. People can win loads of fights, 25, 30 fights, and lose.
Right.
And get knocked out.
Right.
So there's no guarantee that he's going to knock Shakur out, because Shakur's never been knocked down, has he?
No, I've never seen him knocked down. Nope.
Has he ever been wobbled?
No, he's been hurt to the body. Oscar Valdez hurt him to the body, like legitimately, like a legitimate body shot hurt him that he admitted.
You know, the thing is, Clay, everybody gets hurt and everybody gets, shook up with punches.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not showing them. You have to have that poker face.
Right.
That's what it is. A lot of boxers get hit and you'll see them, they'll back off or they'll do something different. And maybe at one point they were really, really badly shook up. But you're never going to know.
Right.
Because a lot of boxers can not even remember a punch sometimes and wake up. Right. It happens a lot. A lot of boxers get knocked out and on their feet.
Right.
And then they recover.
What do you think about the Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson situation as far as them not fighting each other and being in the same division and potentially being champions in the same division? How do you feel about that type of conversation?
I think that's personal. I mean, Roberto Duran didn't fight Antonio Cervantes, who was one of his best friends.
Right.
And that was when Duran was a lightweight. He would have gone to 140, but he didn't. He went straight to 147. He went to fight Leonard, But Cervantes was beaten by Wilfredo Benitez.
Right. So, but my question is, coexisting in the same division, being a champion, one of the champions in the same division, right? In this case, Keyshawn Davis potentially being a WBO champion if he beats Dennis Barancek, and Shakur Stevenson being the current WBC champion, and in the same division, refusing to fight each other. How do you feel about that?
That's their choice. I mean, it's their choice. I mean,
shouldn't somebody leave? Why hold? Do you feel any type of responsibility on somebody to leave just off the strength of literally at this point holding the division up, making it to that can't be an undisputed because both you guys are holding belts and you won't fight each other?
Yeah, but there's other people in that division as well.
Right, but the undisputed is not possible, right? Like we just have to accept that.
If you're undisputed, that's true, yeah. But then again, it depends on who else fights them.
So somebody has to beat them, take the belt.
It could be Loma for I don't know, whoever,
Right.
Or Andy Cruz fights somebody, or could be anybody. The thing is, sometimes a champion is not a champion, or it won't be a champion, not because he can't beat the champion, because he can't beat number 3 or 4 or 5.
Right.
And this is the problem sometimes, when people duck each other or whatever. I mean, maybe they're not going to duck each other because of, they're scared of each other. Just that they've got that bond or friendship. Who are we to say anything different?
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm not gonna lie, it's about that time. About that time to wrap it up. I don't know if there's anything, Ray, you wanted to speak about.
I want to ask a question we got earlier, or maybe it was even yesterday. We had a question about the difference between the call out and the hit list. What does Echo think about that?
What can you repeat that again? Call out and the hit list.
Yeah, basically, you got to dive deeper into it and kind of.
I know. I figured you'll announce it better than me. I'm pretty
all right. Basically, yesterday we were speaking on the idea of Tank Davis is going to be making a call out on March 1st at the end of his fight, assuming that obviously he beats Lamont Roach. I think most people are assuming that. So he beats Lamont Roach, and he's basically letting the boxing space know that he's going to be making an actual announcement or call out, an official call out of who his next fight is supposed to be. People are anticipating the call out being somebody that we want to see him fight, obviously, right? But ultimately saying that this is going to be his first call out, and a lot of people want to say no, he actually had a hit list. The hit list was his call out that he said he was going to fight all these people. But, he's obviously gone on record to say that he never called anybody out officially, and basically stating that this is going to be an official call out. And Ray's asking your opinion on that as far as does him announcing a list, is him announcing a list equivalent to him calling out fighters? Whereas in this March 1st fight, he'll actually be calling out a specific fighter is it like kind of like, you know what I mean, like the same thing, just in different words?
Yeah, it's just semantics, really, just play on words. Yeah.
So he called out. We you know, the accountability is there for the list as much as whoever he calls out. How do you think about that?
Well, if he gives a list and he gives a list of fighters he wants to fight, he's calling them out, isn't he? Really, just saying, "I'm going to fight you." But if he's got a list of people that he's going to fight, you know, maybe Shakur, then this guy, then that guy, then obviously he's calling them out. Simple.
Yeah, I agree with you, by the way.
See,
it's like a shopping list, Clay. If I give you a shopping list, what are you going to do? You're going to go and get the things that are on the shopping list.
Exactly. I don't want to come back. Yeah, I don't want to come back with the food on the shopping list and here, I didn't say I wanted it. I was just saying I wouldn't mind having it, or I wouldn't mind. I didn't tell you I wanted it. No, dude, you gave me a list, bro. You said get these. I didn't say get them. I just told you that would be my shopping list of things that I would be interested in. You know, it's a play on words.
I accept that on the shopping list part, but I figured the question was posed of, are there any fighters you would like to fight? And he said, yeah, I have a list. Never mind. But
didn't he actually, some reporter said to him, is Shakur on that list? Is Devin on that list? He goes, yeah.
It's Shakur.
He's already committed his self to that.
Right. That's what I said. Right.
He's already said it.
I accept it. I accept it now. Yesterday I didn't accept it. Echo. Clay wins again. I'm sorry.
What's it? Winning and losing.
Yeah, look at him smiling. He knows it.
I ain't smiling, bro.
I take pride.
I'm angry. I'm angry at the fact that I
take pride in beating Superman over there in the chair.
Tired of being right.
You know, Jumpman here never beat Superman, so it's okay. You know what I mean? We can fly, but not like him.
It is what it is, man. Listen, man, shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to you, Echo, Ray, everybody in the building, man. Shout out to everybody who put some color in the chat today. Decent day for the channel, man. I appreciate you guys. Johnny Merks, Honey Young, COE Films, Swift 718. You know what I mean? Barbara D showing love to the channel today, man. You know what I mean? Ray Davis showing love. You know what I mean? Everybody who put love in it, and Flyer Frequent, all the Cash App guys, COE Films with the Cash App as well. Man, appreciate all you guys, man. The channel's growing, man. I appreciate all the support. I'm getting a lot of good feedback, which is just motivating for me to get up every single day and do it again and do it again and do it again. Hopefully one day this channel gets to a place where it can provide, so I can make this my full-time situation. I would love to do that. That's probably a dream of mine. We'll see in the years to come. Well,
you deserve it. You deserve that, Clay. You deserve it because you put in the work, and you're one of the few channels that are, you know, unbiased.
I appreciate it, man. And you know what? Every day that we do this show,
you don't just give your opinion. You know, it's not a biased opinion. It's just what you really believe.
And I focus on it. Like when we put together, when I'm sitting here putting together the topics and everything like that, because listen, I'm a human being, and you know, I'm a fan of Terrence Bud Crawford, right? That's like my fighter. But and you know, we hardly ever talk about Terrence Bud Crawford on this channel, but which is kind of messed up. I know if Bud's watching, he's like, I know, bro, and you hardly ever talking about me, bro. You might want to change that. You say you my fan, but you don't talk about me. But well, we talk about you sometime, bro. Get over your feelings. But at the end of the day, I focus on you know, really being unbiased and trying to grab, like even yesterday we talked about Lamont Roach and Tank fighting, and I entertained. I said, I said, Ray, bro, let's talk about how Lamont Roach can win this fight. Let's give him some. How does he do it? You know what I mean? Let's be fair. He's a champion coming up from another division, true indeed, and we're just so upset at times with the choice that Tank made that we don't give this guy no flowers. Let's be, oh man, we caught hell on here for it. People were like, stop trying to sell us that bum ass fight. Stop telling you trying to justify this nonsense. Lamont doesn't have a chance. What are you talking about? It's like, well, come on, bro. Let's give him some love. Robbie Roscott. He's a bum. He's going down in 6.
You know, the thing is though, Clay, most of the time, myself and Roscott, we agree on a lot of things.
Right.
We do.
Right.
So you know, he's got his opinion. That's it. So
no, it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh yeah, Roscott, listen, man. I told you I'm gonna get a shirt made for him. It's gonna go, your favorite fighter's a bum.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Rascot's very knowledgeable about boxing, Clay.
100%. 100%.
He's got a lot of knowledge in boxing. Yes. One of the few people that come on your channel that really knows his stuff.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, man. But yeah, it is
a
what it is.
A lot of boxing channels pretend.
Yeah, you see them. They ride the wave of the little area that they do know, and they make it the topic every single day.
Well, I'm going to say something now. There's a very famous boxing channel, okay, and he was discussing Mike Tyson's career, and he came on there and he said Tyson beat this guy. Then he said he beat Tyrell Briggs. And I'm thinking, sure, I thought I heard it wrong, but when I watched the
replay.
No, not the replay, but the
caption.
The caption, yeah.
Right.
That's what he put in there. And this is the guy that's supposed to be very knowledgeable.
Right.
And an authority on boxing where people look up to. And I was thinking, he shouldn't be even doing the thing. Yeah. However, some of the things he has said, I've agreed with, and he's done some good stuff, but that was just out of it. I mean, Tyrell Briggs, I mean, come on. Yeah. Anybody knows it's Tyrell Briggs.
Yeah, man. You know, you got to be casual in your approach sometimes, you know what I mean? And be honest that, you know, you're a fan of the sport like all of us are.
One name is better than using two names if you're not sure.
Right. It is what it is, man. Man. Remember, he's to have some Tinkerbells to cook. No doubt. Salute to everybody in the building, man. Thank you, Echo, for jumping up on the panel. Thanks, Ray Davis, my co-host. Thank you to everybody in the chat, everybody that joined us today. I know there's other things going on. I got moves I gotta make my damn self. I appreciate you guys. I don't know if Ray, if you want to close it out, say something nice to the people, we can take
nice
it to the
people. Something nice to the people. Thank you.
Right.
No, thank you everybody. Thank you for the channel. We appreciate your patience. At the end of the day, this is the best deliver. Even good fun. So, remember, you got a home here at the Player Radio. I'm going to meet that's the insight to boxing for real. Hey, Ryan, what's up, brother? Happy holidays, man. Thank you. Happy Boxing Day. I know that's coming up.
Oh, yeah. Salute, Ryan Fraser. Salute, family. Salute.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Your mic is messed up, or the sound when it came in.
Yeah, I know why. That's because Freakin' threw his drone over here.
Oh, that Jersey, them drones, man. Holla. At this point.
I'm way too fly. Yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down, no. Got a soul view to myself, yeah. Why would I give it up? Why do they want to come take my place? I work too hard for it, don't need a replacement. This my vocation. Now I got rollies all in rotation. Hop on the jet just to take a vacation. Remember the moments was trapped in the basement. Now the hard work is all taking me places. Swatting all bad like we trapped in the matrix. Bet on myself and go ball out in Vegas. Living a life like I'm rich and I'm famous. Don't see the grind that I know that it came with. I ain't make it this far for myself, yeah. I had to prove to everybody else. I had to set them straight, yeah. I had to ball, so I had to renovate. I know they hate when you elevate. You stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah. I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment. I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly. I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate.